fall.
Both Sydney and Melbourne will see the largest declines. And again, this is because they're the most expensive markets, and higher interest rates are going to have the biggest impact on people's borrowing capacities in both Sydney and Melbourne.
Well, the US Federal Reserve has raised its benchmark interest rate by 0.75%. Inflation's hit a 4-decade high in the country as its economy teeters on the brink of recession. Its central bank says they're highly attentive to inflation risks. Labor will deliver an economic update today, suggesting the Australian economy is slowing. More from Michael Packey in Canberra.
Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers will hand down his economic statement, which comes ahead of the October budget. Dr Chalmers will say the uncertainty facing Australia and the globe will cut growth by 0.5% for the financial year just gone, the one coming up and one after that. New government analysis shows the economy probably grew 3.75% in 21-22. That's down from just over 4% estimated before the election. Despite the headwinds, Labor believes it can steer the country through the challenges.
Nearly half of Australians have caught COVID recently, according to the latest analysis of samples from blood donors. Researchers tested 5,000 samples for 2 COVID antibodies, one of which provides evidence of recent infection. In February, the survey noted 17% of adults had been infected. This has jumped to 46% by early June. Kirby Institute Professor John Cowdor says they know there's a certain proportion of people who don't even know they have COVID.
Even among the people who do think they have symptoms and get tested and turn out to have a positive result on a rapid antigen test, they may not report that result to the authorities, although a certain proportion of them, of course, do. So this sero survey method does fill that gap to a large extent of those people who wouldn't have been aware or wouldn't have got their test reported.
And COVID cases were up above 4,000 again in SA yesterday, and 4 more deaths were recorded. There are 365 people in hospital, 8 in ICU. And US President Joe Biden's returned to public duties and is back at work in the Oval Office after recovering from COVID. More from Amelia Adams.
President Biden testing negative to COVID this morning after isolating for 5 days. Warning the new BA.5 variant is highly contagious, he urged Americans to get vaccinated and boosted and praised the antiviral treatment which kept his symptoms mild.
When my predecessor got COVID, he had to get helicoptered to Walter Reed Medical Center. He was severely ill. Thankfully, he recovered. When I got COVID, I worked from upstairs of the White House.
There are currently around 130,000 new COVID cases diagnosed in America each day. Hospitalisations and deaths from the virus are also rising slightly.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Australia has just revealed its flag bearers for the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. Kookaburra's co-captain Eddie Ockenden and squash legend Rachel Grinham will carry the flag at the opening ceremony tomorrow night. It's only the second time Australia has had dual flag bearers. To football, and it is selection night for the Crows and Port Adelaide ahead of their matches on the weekend. Much intrigue surrounds the future of Matt Crouch, who trained with the squad last night, as the Crows prepare to take on Carlton at home on Saturday night. Still on footy, and Greater Western Sydney's CEO was in Melbourne yesterday, where he met with 4-time premiership coach Alistair Clarkson. Giants CEO Dave Matthews says they're talking to a number of people and not just Clarkson.
I think first and foremost what we've got to do is, we've got a very good incumbent at the moment in Mark McVeigh. There's a number of other senior assistants around the competition that we're talking to as well, and then there's Alistair Clarkson, and all those things need to go into the mix, but certainly his profile is something that's pretty significant.
The club also met with Adam Kingsley and Adam Uze yesterday. To soccer, and Germany has just taken a 2-1 lead against France with about 15 minutes to play in their Euro semi-final. And John Millman is out of the Atlanta Open after going down in straight sets to local Brandon Nakashima. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
3 out of 4 people never hear back from interviews. Shouldn't people matter more than that? Zoom Recruitment.
A shower or two and 14 today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16. A late shower or two for Saturday, 17. And then showers on Sunday, 15. At the moment, 6. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
6 after 6 and it's 6 degrees outside at the moment. I'm not sure what kind of omen that is, but possibly not a good one. Good morning to you. It's cold out there. I tell you, it's only colder when you look at the forecast and realise that the minimum tomorrow might be even worse. So enjoy the day. Going to be a top of 14. We'll get some rain around the place, but it's a quintessential Adelaide winter's day that's on the way. We have a massive program for you coming up. You've just heard in 5AA News with Tom Wren that Australia's announced the flag bearers for the Commonwealth Games. One of those, Rachel Grinham, squash legend, 5 times Commonwealth Games competitor, won a gold, won a silver. She'll be joining us after 7 o'clock today to talk about what probably the biggest honour you can receive in Australian sport, carrying the flag of your country into the Commonwealth Games or the Olympic Games. We'll talk to her about that after 7 o'clock today. Matt Abraham on the program, Tom Duday a little bit later. We'll speak with, we should just refer to him by his character name, Carl Kennedy from Neighbours, ahead of the finale tonight. He'll be on after 8:30 today to talk about the emotions of the finale and a record that has him as the 3rd longest running actor playing a character in the history of Australian television. It's a run that comes to an end tonight, and we'll talk to him about it a little bit later in the day. We'll get you across everything else going on right around Adelaide and the world. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. 666. It's a bit of a unpleasant and strange set of numbers there for the numerologists and the more
totally
religiously minded.
Not sure I would have gone with it if I'd thought about it ahead of time, but I just looked at the clock.
Exactly.
And
what a sinister start to the program.
Yeah, it just sort of happened organically.
I'm sure that the temperature added to a date doesn't actually mean anything. It's just not like one of those special sort of dates in history or anything like that.
The connections of numbers can be pretty dubious for people that are into that kind of thing.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
I looked down at my dashboard and we were going at 47, which is, of course, my lucky number. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. The opening ceremony, it's going to be Friday morning our time in the Commonwealth Games. The Tigers has got a good thing that they've done today. There's 41 South Australians that are competing, and they've done a list online. I'm not sure if it's in the paper. Probably is in the paper too, in the sports section. But all the exact times when they're going to be up and about. And I think, look, for all of the sort of negativity and downplaying that the Commonwealth Games can invite, people say it's sort of, dominated by countries like us, which is, undeniably true. The moment it starts, a lot of people do just automatically get into it.
I don't think we're alone as a country in that the moment we're involved in something that we're likely to win, we all jump on board and watch.
Oh, for sure.
Which is what happens every Commonwealth Games. I don't care. Oh, hang on, the swimming's on.
Yeah.
Oh, we might win. We might be the top 4 swimmers in this event.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we go from, and a lot of the discussion around whether Adelaide should bid. I was going to say should bid again. Did we bid when Bannon was premier?
Oh, yeah. I reckon. I think it was even after Bannon. It was early 90s.
Maybe.
But we have bid before.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we would have got it if we just put a hand up this time. For the next one, because they couldn't find anyone.
There was a big push on Rob Gerard, Crow's patron, Clipsal CEO, a Liberal Party patron. He was behind the push, and put, I thought, quite a compelling case. But the thing was, neither side of politics was jumping at it, and they didn't feel like the community was either.
No, not at all.
There was a lot of I think we were less than enthused in our
it's a big outlay for
it.
a pretty. I think it's again dubious the return on it. You know what I think will make this more compelling, and I reckon everyone when you think back to when the Commonwealth Games was bigger, and the reason it dropped away in part was because we were so dominant.
Yeah,
but remember, a lot of that dates back to the 90s and early 2000s when the UK, and they obviously compete separately for the Com Games, but they were rubbish at the Olympics. And it wasn't until London, where that huge investment of money, that you saw the British Olympic team start to win a lot. They started to be competitive on the track. Obviously, their cycling team's
great
they copied us. In the pool. Well, that's right.
The world's simplest explanation is they poured millions and millions of taxpayers' dollars in.
Ruins the magic of I've said this before, of Olympic sport, when you realise the correlation between medals won and money spent. It's exceptionally strong.
I remember reading a report, I think just after the Sydney Games, saying that every gold medal Australia won, or no, every medal Australia won cost about $4 million.
Yeah.
In taxpayer dollars.
Sounds about right.
It's funny though, like, because, you know, we'll talk about Cuba or China or the old Soviet Union. Oh, like, yeah, all these athletes, you know, it's all government backed.
Yeah, no, we do a little bit of that too.
That's right.
Yeah. So my point being, I reckon interest goes up when suddenly we've got a competitive England to cheer against. I think we need
totally.
a proper rival, like in the Olympic Games with the Americans in the pool.
Oh, there's no joy in smashing Vanuatu.
No, that's right.
Or, you know, cop that.
Yeah.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
If we're 50 golds ahead after 3 days, people go, yeah.
48 people in the Caribbean.
Exactly right.
Finally made it into the judo or something.
So we need we need the Poms to be just good enough that they feel like a worthy rival, but we still beat them.
There's not many rivalries within the Commonwealth Games. I reckon you'd like to beat Kenya in anything of an athletic persuasion.
Has that ever happened?
Probably not.
No. It's not really a rivalry then, is it?
Shervo might have come third once or something. Yeah, maybe not.
The New Zealand and
Jamaica,
New Zealand and the team sports.
Yeah.
Is an old rivalry because it means so much to them, and they're always up. They always play out of their skins against us if it's the hockey or the basketball, whatever it might well be.
Yeah. Beyond that, though, even beating Canada, no one hates Canada.
Canada's difficult to hate.
Yeah, there's no issue there with the Canadians.
No. Maybe listeners, if there's a Com Games rivalry we've overlooked, let us know.
Yeah.
Is there one we've missed, or maybe one that sticks in your craw from back in the day?
Luke's texted in saying, any ideas what time the opening ceremony is? I'll double check, Luke. I'm pretty sure I saw an ad on TV last night saying it's on Friday morning. Okay. We'll double check that.
4:15 a.m.
What about Neighbours, though? What about Neighbours coming to an end? That's pretty big.
4:15 a.m. Opening ceremony. We had to start watching it.
I must admit, I've never ever watched Neighbours. I just never got into it. I don't know how it passed me by. I think it must be things happen at a certain time in your life. And I reckon I was 18 when it started, which is probably the least likely age to be starting watching a new TV soap opera when you're starting to go out on the tear and spending less time at home and getting busy with other things. But yet conversely, when the moment the other day on our list, before I disappeared for a COVID-related rest, when I saw that Paula Duncan was coming on the show, I got so genuinely excited. Because dead set, when she was going around in Cop Shop, her and Linda Stoner, I just loved the pair of them. I had all the posters out of TV a Week on my wall and right into it. I wonder what was the show that resonated most with our listeners? What was the TV soap that you sort of carried with you through your youth and still have really fond memories of it? The two odd prop would be Cop Shop when I was at primary school age, and then all through high school, our big one was A Country Practice. We loved that show at home.
8223 0000. You can text us as well on the Automasters text line 0448 08 1395. We'll get to some of your texts as they come in just a moment. But first, news headlines next.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive Officer of Western Hospital, Henley Beach. Our Western Hospital GP clinic is comprehensive and integrated into Western Hospital to serve our community's needs. Our 10 GPs all have special interests and care for you in our unique environment located within the hospital. Though our clinic is non-bulk billing, this healthcare hub caters to various needs and our patients can be referred directly to our hospital and specialists. Visit westernhospitalgp.com.au.
For over 38 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip. With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. You won't find a better range of cars covering the entire region from Gawler to the Barossa Valley and Clare. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. Great local deals on great local cars from your locals. Steinborner Automotive. Still well worth the trip or well worth the click.
It's never too early to start planning for lawn season. Get ready for spring now with the Turf Farm. They're always trialling and testing to see what works best in SA because our dry summers and droughts can be brutal on lawns.
And the Turf Farm have found a real gem. It's called TIFTUF, TIFTUF. It's a hybrid Bermuda grass developed by the world's leading turf scientist. And Tiff Tough stands out from the rest with superior drought tolerance, its winter green and extreme durability.
That's a good title to have. World's leading turf scientist, isn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine living next door to that guy.
Oh, he knows his stuff.
I've got this spot on my lawn.
Yeah. This little bit brown, bit of a brown patch. What'd you do with that? It'd drive him around the bend.
It would, wouldn't it? Tiff Tough Couch Grass is the only lawn in the world with the Smart Approved watermark. This is the new benchmark for drought tolerance in Australia. And on the flip side, it also has an amazing 50% shade tolerance.
The Turf Farm team are experts in beautiful lawns and also happy customers.
Call the Turf Farm on 8577 8826 or visit theturffarm.com.au. The lawn you'll love.
Where do you go to discover Adelaide's newest and hottest gaming machines this winter? Sky City. Where else? If you're looking for the newest and best games, be the first to play them at Sky City Adelaide. With an avalanche of more games and bigger jackpots, Sky City is the home of new games. Sky City, where else? Gamble responsibly.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide, for Adelaide. 9 News. David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
17 after 6, Ben Jordan sent us a piece of history by way of a photograph of the 1990 Sandford Grand Final. There was a banner on the ground that was supporting the bid for the 1998 Commonwealth Games. That's right. That we ultimately lost to Kuala Lumpur. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you sending that through. Lots of people texting in on the Automasters text line with their favourite Australian soaps of all time, with Neighbours wrapping up tonight. We'll get to those in a moment. But first, news headlines on this Thursday morning. The pandemic has put additional pressures on young Australians, driving an increase in youth homelessness. 1 in 20 surveyed young people were homeless for the first time over the past 2 years. Mission Australia Chief Executive Sharon Callister says it's an increase on previous figures. Big wish you'd speak up.
Well, she said it. I'll take your word for it, Will.
We can't hear Sharon. No, it doesn't seem like any of our stuff's coming through. That's all right. We'll press on. SA Police are investigating after a number of counterfeit banknotes were passed in the city and York Peninsula last week. There were $50 and $100 notes. Police are urging retailers to be vigilant and check the texture of the note and other inbuilt security features.
How would you even do that these days with all the technology in a note?
It just makes me wonder how bad they look. If an average Joe can look at it and go, that's probably,
Well, who's using cash these days in large quantities anyway?
Not many people. An Australian site operator has discovered a rare pure pink diamond in Angola. This thing looks incredible. It's believed to be the largest found in 300 years.
It's gigantic.
Yeah, the 170-carat pink diamond will need to be cut and polished to realise its true value. But, by way of comparison, a 59.6-carat pink diamond sold for $102 million in 2017. So that's
crikey.
5 years ago and a third of the size.
Yeah.
So maybe it's worth $300 million. Maybe it's worth a bit more. I don't know if they scale.
Well, given how long it's been since they found anything this big, and the dwindling amount that there would be, it could go for like $500 million easily.
What do you do with it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sort of put it on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, make a nice, navel ring or something like that. Get a particularly big belly button.
A new report estimates the southeast Queensland floods early this year will cost almost $8 billion in social, financial and economic damage. Deloitte has analysed the impacts of the floods, which affected 23 local government areas. More than 500,000 people were affected in some way at a human and social cost of $4.5 billion. Homes and commercial businesses also took a $2 billion hit. Supporters of Julian Assange will gather outside Parliament House in Canberra to pressure the Prime Minister to do more to stop his extradition to the United States. The WikiLeaks founder is in prison in London, fighting a transfer to the US to face espionage charges. Protester Robert Barwick says all Anthony Albanese has said since coming to power was that foreign affairs isn't best done with a loudhailer.
It's a cheap thing for Mr Albanese to say. We can have no confidence that he's actually pursuing anything with the Americans and the British. Why isn't he prepared to say it publicly?
Well, some people are so utterly out of touch with mainstream sentiment, aren't they?
I haven't lost a lot of sleep about this one, I've got to say.
No, the old Julian Assange, you sort of feel like you got him. You made your bed, you lie in it, son. And the idea that Albo's somehow taken his eye off the ball in the middle, like the inflation figure came out yesterday, 6.1%. The front page of the paper today is about spiralling house prices continuing here in South Australia at a time when people can't afford to get into a home and people are struggling to find rental properties. Well, so Albo's meant to sort of drop everything for Julian Assange. The Prime Minister's lucky that guy's not a political advisor working in his office. Or maybe you should actually listen closely to him and say, all right, anything that guy tells me to do, I'm going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
You'll be Prime Minister for a very long time.
It might be a reasonable measure.
It's like listening to what the audience clap the loudest about on Q&A. Then you just reverse it to find out what Australia thinks about something.
It's 5.5 degrees outside at the moment. Top of 14 today with up to 3 mils of rain. 16 tomorrow, overnight low of 6 again. Saturday 17 with up to 1 mil of rain. Sunday 15 with up to 10 mils of rain. And then on Monday it's still wet, 6 mils of rain and 14. We will talk sport with Tom Wren in just a moment, thanks to the new Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year cap price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth. But first, a couple of texts on the Automasters text line.
Getting a mountain text in relation to my question, what was the soap opera that framed your life, particularly when you were younger? One here from Rob. Coronation Street's been the show for me. Now in my late 60s, I've been watching it since I was 9 years old. That haunting brass band sound as the show starts warms my soul. One here from Stephen in Mount Barker. You can't go past Prisoner, B. Smith, The Freak, Vinegar Tits, Lizzie, Birdsworth, etc. Classic Aussie TV. Pardon my French, but everybody in Australia knows who Ms. Vinegar was and what her surname was. Mark from Para Hill says The Sullivans in the late 70s, early 80s. I loved watching Aussie TV when I was growing up, but I didn't get into Neighbours or Home and Away, though. Kelly from Clapham. Kelly, I'm still in mourning with you. She says, a country practice for me. I was devastated when Molly died. Still one of the most watched moments in Australian television history. And Tessa in Paraka, she's in therapy about Shane's death on Home and Away. And she says that it also forever changed her experience of listening to Hunters and Collectors with the Throw Your Arms Around Me song that was played at Shane's funeral. I don't recall the details, Tessa, but all I'll say is my thoughts are with you at what can only be a very difficult time.
All right, let's turn our attention to sport. Rennie, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. That was played by Dieter Brummer, I reckon.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yep,
yeah.
with Melissa George. Yeah, that was when I used to watch that back in the day.
You know your stuff,
yeah,
Tom.
no, my Home and Away. Boys, I heard you talking about the flag bearers. Some breaking news, a bit of breaking news as well with the soccer in the Euro tournament for those World Game lovers. Germany has just beaten France in the women's soccer Euros to play against England now in the final. Look, we don't often delve into
1966 all over again.
Yeah, exactly. We don't often delve into the rugby league circles, but it's been a fascinating story this week. The Manly Sea Eagles.
It's been a total bloody shambles.
Hasn't it?
It's extraordinary.
And tonight it culminates in that match between the Sydney Roosters and Manly Sea Eagles. And for those who haven't caught up with it, Pride jersey with rainbow colours on it has been proposed by Manly for the players to wear, and 7 of their players have said we're not wearing it. It's simple as that. It's been poorly communicated.
They weren't shown the jersey in advance. They weren't told that this idea had been generated. And look, the club should have been smart enough to know that you got 7 full-on born-again Christian Pacific Islanders on your team. It's probably not going to be quite their cup of tea. And I think some of the discussion around it, there's been a bit of a weird contrast between the Islamic woman who plays AFLW for GWS, because they did a pride jumper in the AFLW, and she said, well, that doesn't really gel with my theological views, and I'm not going to wear it. And that was all handled quietly and internally because she was an Islamic woman who protested against the endorsement of homosexuality on religious grounds. It's a bit of an odd position given that she's playing AFLW. You know, maybe the penny hasn't dropped that there's a significant representation of, you know, lesbian women playing the sport. But anyway, she said, I'm not doing it. But that was sort of regarded as, oh, that's her choice and that's fine. These guys seem to be really copping it, though.
Mm.
And it makes me worry that you can roll up your sleeves and go as hard as you like against Christians for adhering to their views, but if anybody else adheres to theirs, it's like, oh, well, that's all just part of multiculturalism? Is that a fair point to make?
Yeah, completely. I think that's absolutely right. And I think the big macro question here that I actually think is more interesting than the micro stuff around, well, okay, they're being inconsistent about the Bible's views on gambling and alcohol then, because that's all over the top. I think that's a side point. I think that the biggest question, and it's a very political one, is about, it's a question for the left side of politics, frankly, and it's about the idea of multiculturalism being an irresistible good and liberalism being an irresistible good. And comes a point where these two things smack into each other.
Yeah, totally.
And it's around religion. Now, if you want to say people can come in and practice their religion freely and we're all richer for the experience of living together, great. But then you can't expect they're going to have an ideology that says how people choose to live their lives, irrespective of religion, is good too.
Yeah.
You just can't. Both those things can't be true. So there needs to be not the expectation that they're going to mix naturally, or just an acceptance that people are going to have different views on things, and one group can't impose on the other. Which I think that's the history of liberalism. But we're in this weird space now where it's, oh no, you're all allowed to have the same views as long as they're our views.
Yeah.
And just, I guess to wrap it all up, sport and politics, we say they don't normally mix, but I'll be intrigued as to how it all goes down tonight.
Well, actually, I actually think, Rennie, this is one of the rare occasions in AA where I put you and I in the category if it's an old-fashioned view. Because I think young people these days, everything's is politics.
Mm-hmm.
I think for people under the age of 30, everything is politics. And if you don't... In fact, there's a view amongst young...
Not for all young people.
Oh, I reckon...
For the ones who are politically active, everything's politics. But there's a lot
I think they are the most politically engaged generation ever.
Oh,
the ones coming through right now.
You're guided by who you know. But I got to say, my kids are cynical eye rollers with a lot of this stuff. My teenage kid, Safe and Jim, and I know Safe's boyfriend, he would just be going, like looking at something like this and going, for crying out loud.
But being a cynical eye roller is having a view.
Yeah, but the view is among a lot of them to be completely nonplussed by the sort of showy, demonstrative, virtue signalling type political stuff that has sort of marked a lot of their education.
Yeah, sure.
Where they now
but
go,
I would say even that's having a say. That's having a say. I reckon when I went through school, I reckon the vast majority of kids wouldn't have known what is the political debate of the day. I don't know. I don't know what to be cynical about.
Well, for us, the political debate of the day was whether there was going to be a nuclear war or not.
There you go.
But seriously.
Yeah,
that was the
right.
defining thing of the 80s.
But these topics seem to be everywhere now. So I just reckon saying to kids that are playing sport, so you look at the public statements by sports people every single day, they're not being coerced to make them. They believe that's what their role is. And I reckon that's a new age way of thinking.
But part of the problem with this is it's not like an organic grassroots thing. There's probably some management meeting about it.
Oh, this would have been.
Where someone's gone, oh, let's do a rainbow jumper. Oh, yeah, that's great. That'll win us a lot of kudos. Well, I'll tell you what, if the intent of this was to bring people together, hasn't it been a roaring success?
Yeah, it's blown up royally.
So maybe they should have thought, who are we playing round 20? All right, have we washed our jumpers this week? We're ready to go? Who's manning the car park? Who's doing the sausage sizzle? Maybe just sort of stick to your day jobs a bit and leave the social cohesion agenda to parliaments.
Yes.
Rather than football clubs.
Yeah. Good on you, Reece.
Thanks, boys. Yeah, good discussion.
10-year warranty.
We could talk for the rest of the show about it.
Yeah. 10-year cap price servicing. Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
G'day, it's Mark Bickley. For most business PC brands, a 4-hour service guarantee means they'll call you back in 4 hours. But at Leader Computers, a 4-hour service guarantee on Leader's business range means they'll come to your worksite and have you back in business inside 4 hours. Leader Computers are local, made here in Adelaide with better service, better support and speedy turnaround times. Live life local. Live life Leader. Leader Computers. Find your local dealer at leadersystems.com.au.
Hey, it's Callum here. Looking for something small, medium or large? Edwardstown Mazda have most models in stock, ready to drive away. You can feel confident in the team at Edwardstown Mazda.
It's gotta be
edwardstownmazda.com.au, LNVD 207428.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 14 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brentig.
Looking for the perfect winter exercise? Physio Extra offers clinical Pilates at 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
The US Central Bank has raised interest rates by 0.75%. The Federal Reserve is hoping to combat the country's highest inflation since the 1980s. Ongoing increases could lie ahead as the risk of recession intensifies. Adelaide's housing market is set to defy the trend and surge despite higher interest rates and cost of living pressures. Property prices here and in Perth are tipped to rise by as much as 5% for the year to December, but other capitals are set to fall, mainly in Sydney and Melbourne. Police have warned people to be on the lookout for fake $50 and $100 notes. More from David Bruce.
Several counterfeit notes were handed over in retail outlets on the York Peninsula and in Adelaide late last week. Police have urged business owners and retail staff to be on their toes when taking cash as payment. Little things like the texture of a note can be a dead giveaway. They say if you suspect a note is fake, you should handle it as little as possible and store it in an envelope. It's also helpful to put together as much information as possible. For instance, the time and place where you believe the note came into your possession, as well as any descriptions of suspects and things like their vehicle details.
The Wellcamp quarantine facility in Queensland will be mothballed in days following revelations it's cost taxpayers more than $220 million. More from Jess Millwood.
730 people have moved through the facility since the start of the year, but with travellers no longer needing to be vaccinated to come into the country, the government has confirmed it will be closed next week for care and maintenance. Taxpayers will continue to foot the bill for the lease until that expires next April. After that, the site will be handed back to the Wagner Corporation, who own the land. Outrage growing this morning, some saying building the Wellcamp quarantine facility was a complete waste of money.
While the US president is back at work and encouraging Americans to get vaccinated and boosted after recovering from COVID-19, Joe Biden has tested negative after isolating for 5 days. He's touted his administration's vaccine and booster rollout for his quick recovery.
When my predecessor got COVID, he had to get helicoptered to Walter Reed Medical Center. He was severely ill. Thankfully, he recovered. When I got COVID, I worked from upstairs of the White House, and the office is upstairs, and for that 5-day period.
A new study has offered insight into the lives of Australians with younger onset dementia. The disease begins before the age of 65 and affects 28,000 people. Dr. Fleur de Crepney from the Institute of Health and Welfare says, interestingly, they found 1 in 4 spoke a language other than English at home.
And these percentages are higher than what we see in the population generally, and we think that they may reflect the fact that people with dementia often use their first language more predominantly as their dementia progresses.
And an Australian mine site operators discovered a rare pure pink diamond in Angola. It's believed to be the largest found in 300 years. The 170-carat pink diamond will need to be cut and polished to realise its true value. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
New Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide trained at Adelaide Oval last night as they prepare for Saturday night's match against Carlton. Riley Thilthorpe was seen hobbling from the track, but it's hoped he'll be okay to take on the Blues. Port Adelaide will also release its side a little later this afternoon ahead of Saturday's match against Collingwood at the MCG. Well, the author of the Carter Report into Tasmania's bid for an AFL team says he doesn't believe the deal for Tasmania to get an AFL licence should be dependent on whether they have a new stadium. The AFL has told the Tasmanian government it must fund the vast majority of a $500 million plus stadium in order to get the licence. Colin Carter says eventually Tasmania will need a new stadium, but for now the current grounds that are used for the AFL are perfectly adequate.
I suspect that any new team is going to struggle for a few years, and I reckon that filling 14,000-seat stadiums in those first 4 or 5 years rather than having a half-full 25 to 30,000 seat stadium would be a much better option.
To soccer, Germany is through to the final of the Women's Euro Soccer Tournament after a hard-fought 2-1 win against France this morning. They'll now play against England in the final. And speaking of England, they've just beaten South Africa in their first T20 match in Bristol. The home side smashed an incredible 6 for 234 from its 20 overs. Johnny Bairstow smashing 8 sixes in his 90 from only 53 balls. And that proved too much for the tourists, who fell 41 runs short. And that's the 5AA sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
3 out of 4 people never hear back from interviews. Shouldn't people matter more than that? Zoom Recruitment.
A shower or two and 14 today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16. A late shower or two for Saturday, 17. And then showers on Sunday, 15. At the moment, 6. More news as it happens on 5AA.
The Adelaide Central Market is open and it's not going anywhere. You might notice some changes as the exciting new market expansion gets underway. But don't worry, your favourite traders, your weekly fruit and veg, your fresh seafood and morning coffees aren't going anywhere. It might be expanding, but the market you know and love is open throughout all stages of construction with easy undercover parking. Shop at the Adelaide Central Market, trading as always Tuesday to Saturday.
Think this is just a hose with holes in it? No way, Jose. This is Pope Drippies, deceptively clever irrigation made right here in Australia. Drippies drips drops onto plants precisely with a low, slow flow. So there's less runoff and less water wasted. Whether watering your flower beds or veggie garden, Pope Drippies will make it a breeze.
A better way to water is a Pope.
At Specsavers, we're all about seeing. In fact, we often like to see into the future. Seriously. Our experienced optometrists use advanced OCT 3D eye scanners that can help detect future eye problems, often before they get too serious. Yep, our modern tech is a sight for sore eyes, especially for more than 3 million Australians we care for each year. At Specsavers, our only focus is yours, so book an eye test with a free OCT scan today. Should have gone to Specsavers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
22 minutes to 7, police and weather coming up in a moment. Gee, a lot of people sharing their stories of the shows that mattered most to them growing up. Country Practice is getting a lot of love on the Automasters text line at the moment.
Yeah, I reckon. Well, I think it's in that sort of sweet spot.
It is.
For a lot of our listeners. I reckon people aged 50 to 60 would really go for the Country Practice. Cop Shop too. There's been a few mentions of that. But equally a lot of older listeners remembering things like Matlock and Division 4, and of course Corrie.
Keep them coming in, 0480 1395. That's the Automasters text line number. It's all because of this. And if you're watching along on the 5AA Facebook or YouTube live stream right now,
this is excellent.
You look like, what's the movie where he holds up the jukebox?
The jukebox?
That famous scene in film. I can't think what it is, but you look like the guy for a moment. They're holding up the Ramsay Street sign. We've got 2 Ramsay Street signs to give away.
The only movie I can think of where somebody's holding up something was the Chief at the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest holding up a water cooler.
No, it definitely was not the Chief that I was thinking of. Ramsay Street signs to give away. We've got a couple of them to give away. The finale, of course, is tonight. On Channel 10 and 10 Peach. It's a 90-minute finale. There have been 90-minute shows all week. These signs, if you're a Neighbours fan, the perfect complement for any room you've got where you hang your, sporting memorabilia and whatnot.
It's like it's actually a proper street sign.
It is, because it's made of the reflective material that street signs are made out of.
It's like that weatherproof. Looks like marine grade steel. It's really, really well made. Look good in your man cave or your she cave.
We are going to give them away in 2 spots over the course of the morning. One is right now, and the inspiration for the chat is FIVEAA. Now, FIVEAA's a large walrus. FIVEAA weighs 600 kilos and has made herself a home in the capital of Norway, Oslo. Lucy did some investigative reporting on this, captivated by FIVEAA the walrus, who has been a bit of a nuisance, it must be said, sinking boats and things of late, climbing on board. I don't necessarily think it's deliberate, but 600 kilos suddenly jumps on the side of a boat and bad things tend to happen. Lucy caught up with a Norwegian animal migration expert who is based in Norway and has been tracking FIVEAA's movements. We'll play a little of that in a moment, but to win the first the first Neighbours Ramsay Street sign this morning. Tell us the most amazing animal experience you've ever witnessed. I think witnessing a 600-kilo walrus jump on your boat, big or small, would win this Ramsay Street sign. But
that would focus the mind.
It would focus the mind. What is the most extraordinary thing you've seen happen in the wild, or your most amazing run-in with an animal? We want animal-related weirdness.
And Will's not allowed to enter.
I'm not allowed to enter, okay?
The old titanium triggerfish, snaffle off his vitals.
Took my Achilles clean off. Are you aware of that?
It did, didn't it?
Yeah, I can't.
I've still
got a limp.
Got that stump.
Here's a little bit of Lucy investigating FIVEAA the walrus with the Norwegian animal migration expert.
But I've done some examination on the walruses on Svalbard, and I also got to see one very close to my home down south in Norway, and that was FIVEAA, the one we were talking about. Actually, when I saw her in 29th of March 2022, I figured out that she had so many distinct features. So I thought it could be kind of easy to backtrack her to see if I can find some information in databases, in social media and media to see if where has she been. And actually, I made a map, and the first record we got from her is the 25th of December 2019 up in Norway, and I've been able to track her for over 1.5 years right now. We thought she was going to leave Oslo because she was gone down a little bit southwest of Oslo, but today she ended up in Oslo again. So now she's back in a place where she was really popular last week. In Oslo.
The locals, of course, have been seeing her, and she's been lying all over their boats and lapping up the sunshine, lying on boat decks. But are the locals getting a bit annoyed that she's around?
Well, not many actually, but those who are really vocal, and they're writing on Facebook and social medias with big letters. So I don't think there are too many, because there are a lot of people who like FIVEAA, but I can understand the boat owners that have their boats like really, it's not sunk, but it's very close. So they are close to destroyed some of the boats, especially the rib ones. Then those you have to inflate, because he's using her big teeth to climb onto the ribs, and they are getting flat.
So causing all sorts of issues. Loose, I think Loose Investigates needs to be a new breakfast radio serial.
Particularly if it involves things as compelling as walruses on the loose.
600 kilos worth of walrus jumping on your inflated boat?
But
no
I
thanks.
like that guy's turn of phrase. They use their teeth to pull themselves up on the inflatable boats, and then the boats go flat. Imagine that. It'd be like opening an old tin of pineapple rings. When you punch the hole in the side.
Rune is the name of the expert that Lucy spoke to.
Rune.
He made it seem much less dramatic than it would be in reality, I suspect.
Well, I guess the thing is, it's all quite novel, isn't it? If you're not from Norway, like if you're not from the Arctic Circle, hearing about a walrus attacking anything sounds amazing.
Sure,
but it's probably like, I mean, if you come into work in Australia and said, I hit a roo on the way in, people go, oh no, that's no good. You all right? How's your car? But if you were talking to, Rune, and you said, I was driving my car along the road and a kangaroo jumped out in front of me, he'd go, what?
Yeah, that would be concerning, I guess. 15 to 7 on the Automasters text line. The film is Say Anything with John Cusack. Say Anything with John Cusack. That is the moment with the jukebox held aloft. David Pemberthy-esque with the Ramsay Street sign a moment ago. We've got one to give away, talking about run-ins with nature. Steve in Port Noarlunga, good morning.
G'day, guys. How you going?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, Dave.
Just a fantastic experience on the Great Barrier Reef. A couple of months of the year, you can actually, on the dive boats, you can actually snorkel and dive with the minke whales. I've had experiences up to 3 hours with probably up to 20 minkies swimming in and out of you, literally cruising towards you and just gently veering off at the last minute, posing for photos. I've got photos with 2 minke whales and being photobombed by by a green turtle. Absolutely staggering. And if it's a tiebreaker, I can send you the photos.
Yeah, that sounds incredible, Steve.
Seriously,
Thank
Steve,
you.
send us one. We'll put it up on the
yes.
We'll put it up
I
on
want
the
to
live
see
stream.
that. Steve, well and truly in the running to win that
Yeah,
Ramsay
that's
Street
great.
street sign that we've got to give away. 1 of 2 this morning. We'll get to some more of your calls that double as entries in just a moment. But first, let's check traffic. Discover Bloom at Glenside. Prestige apartments for discerning boomers. Register at bloomglenside.com.au.
Good morning. Roads looking pretty good this morning at Kidman Park. We've got some gasworks there. Findon Road near Grange Road, down at 25 k's in both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Ketterwood Terrace for the Eliminate Festival. At McGill, intersection upgrade works there. McGill Road near St Bernard's Road. And we're busy right now at the Port River Expressway near the North-South Motorway. Cameras, Bundy's Road, North Adelaide, and Glenburn Road at Burnside. The Adelaide Central Market you know and love is open as always. Shop Tuesday till Saturday with the best fresh local produce, cheap eats and essentials. Our market always. Adelaide Central Market. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Patience pays off, especially if you've been holding out for a great deal on a new Volkswagen. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is now receiving truckloads of new Volkswagens. Yes, they're coming, and they're available at amazing prices. Remember Mawson Lakes Volkswagen for servicing too, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Get a great deal on Volkswagen now. Don't dilly-dally, dawdle or delay. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Are you going through a separation or divorce? It can be a really stressful time, especially with kids. But we want you to know you don't have to do this alone. At Marnie's Lawyers, we help families just like yours with divorce and separation, property settlement, mediation, and parenting arrangements. To book in your free first consultation, just give us a call. With 4 locations, we're just around the corner. Marnie's Lawyers, Adelaide's family law experts. marnieslawyers.net.au.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5AA Breakfast.
Talk to 7. Let's talk about the weather. It's cold. I haven't got much more for you, which is why we go to Simon Timke at the Weather Bureau. Simon, fill in the blanks beyond it being cold.
Good morning, guys. It certainly is cold. We've had some pretty clear skies and light winds overnight leading to those cold conditions. Here in Adelaide, we had our minimum about 20 past 6 this morning, got down to 5.5. Temperature slowly rising now that we're starting to see a little bit of cloud push across from the west, sitting on 6.6 degrees at the moment. It's a bit colder over the northern and western suburbs in particular. Got down to 1.7 at the RAF base at Edinburgh, 2.0 at Powerfield, 4.9 at Adelaide Airport. So, as I said, a little bit of cloud starting to push across from the west. And looking on the radar at the moment, there's a couple of showers down just south of Aldinga and pushing across Investigator Strait from the west. So I think through the morning we'll see some showers develop about the southern suburbs. They're very slow moving though. I think further north through the CBD area and the northern suburbs, probably be afternoon before we see anything, if at all. So we'll keep an eye on those showers, but mostly dry to start off with, but those showers developing over the southern suburbs during the morning. Temperature-wise, expecting a maximum 14 degrees for the city, 14 as well for Glenelg, Elizabeth, Noarlunga, 13 degrees for Mount Barker. Another cold morning on the way for tomorrow, expecting a minimum of 6 degrees, a maximum of 16. Should be dry conditions during the day with a little bit of cloud around. And the winds northeasterly, a little bit windier than today, generally just light winds around the place today. Over the weekend, we've got a front moving across the west on Saturday and the rest of the state on Sunday. So we'll see some sunshine on Saturday morning. Chance of some showers, probably not till evening though, so should be dry, I think, during the afternoon. And becoming a little bit windy as well from the north. 17 degrees the maximum for Saturday, and then showers around for Sunday, 15 degrees the maximum, and the early part of next week looks like a couple of showers around as well, with maximum temperatures 14 for Monday, 17 for Tuesday and for Wednesday.
Good on you, Simon. Thank
Cheers,
you.
Simon.
Simon Timke at the Weather Bureau. Let's go to Senior Constable Jen Cullinan at SAPOL. Jen, you've pinched a high-range drink driver.
We have, and this was about 8:30 yesterday. Police attempted to stop a Holden sedan on Park Lane Drive at Wynvale. However, the vehicle took off at speed. Patrols didn't pursue the vehicle, but attended at the registered owner's address a short time later and located the vehicle and the driver. So the driver, who is actually a provisional licence holder, was breath tested and produced a blood alcohol reading of 0.342. So I'll quickly do the maths, which is nearly 7 times the legal limit.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so a 39-year-old man from Wynvale has been reported for failing to stop drink driving and breaching his licence conditions, and he's going to go to court at a later date.
Unbelievable. And Jen, also, a person's been arrested for stealing a car at West Beach.
Yeah, and this was about 10 to 8 last night. A man called police after spotting his stolen grey Volkswagen Amarok near Bridge Road, which had actually been stolen from Lockleys on Saturday. So a person was seen unloading items from the car, which was also displaying different number plates. Patrols attended and they've recovered the stolen car as well as the suspect nearby. And he's a 54-year-old man from West Beach, and he's been going to court this morning for illegal use.
Good on you, Jen. Thank you for that.
Thanks, guys.
Senior Constable Jen Cullinan from SAPOL. I just tried to punch that in quickly on the blood alcohol content calculator to work out how do you get to point
What is it,
342.
15 drinks?
So it's 19 drinks in 4 hours. If you weigh 80 kilos. I sort of put
19 drinks in 4 hours?
19 standard drinks in 4 hours.
You can't do that unless you're having like some sort of sculling competition.
Yeah.
But even then, surely, 19.
I think the point is that you don't accidentally get there, do you?
No, that takes
You don't give
a
it
huge
stuff.
degree of application. Probably practice as well. Extraordinary.
Tim Lester in the United States joins us. Tim, the investigation into what took place on January the 6th and Donald Trump's involvement in the march on the Capitol, it's getting to an interesting point.
It is, and this, guys, isn't the congressional investigation. This is the one carried out in secrecy by the US Justice Department. So it carries clout because they take you to court, they prosecute you, and if they win, you're off to jail. The interesting thing there is, even although it's in secrecy, Washington Post and New York Times both saying today that prosecutors' questions in recent days have swung sharply to Donald Trump himself, as opposed to other figures like his lawyer Rudy Giuliani and others who we were quite aware that the Justice Department was looking at. The assumption here is that the Justice Department is now seriously weighing prosecuting Trump. The interesting point about that is never in US history has a former president been charged with anything. According to coverage over here. So not even Richard Nixon after Watergate in the 1970s, the Justice Department thought it better to just let it slide. They may still do that with Donald Trump, but the chances of a prosecution appear to have gone up pretty sharply in the last few days.
So, Tim, it would be a criminal charge, and it would also be a charge probably, given that justice is doing it, that may well involve something like the obstruction of justice. Constitutionally, what would it mean for Trump running again?
Well, interesting point, because we're in a phase where Donald Trump there's a lot of speculation that Donald Trump will do something that Republicans don't want him to do, which is to put his hand up and declare that he's running for president 2024 before the midterm elections, which is still a couple of months away, November here in the United States. And they want Trump to hang on with any announcement, but he may preempt that. He may also be preempting any charges coming from Justice Department from the Justice Department now. Now, exactly where in that process they stop him running for president, I don't know. I don't think, with the presumption of innocence that initial initial charges could stop him having a go at president, but you'd have to say politically it'd do him at least some harm, even although he gets such an intense following from his supporters.
Yeah, and I guess then if he wins the election, ultimately he could just pardon himself. Can you do that, Tim?
Well, he's good at pardoning. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Tim, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll watch that one with interest. That's a fascinating story. Tim Lester for 7 News in the United States. Our focus about 25 minutes ago was on Norway and FIVEAA, the 600-kilo walrus. The inspiration for a question around your amazing encounters with nature that will win someone a Ramsay Street street sign. Maddie in Manapara, good morning.
Morning, boys. How are you?
Good, thanks, Maddie.
In the 90s, I worked at the resort that was near Uluru, and it snakes around several sand dunes. And one day after work, I thought, I'll take a shortcut through the sand dunes. And I got halfway through, and I looked behind and saw a dingo. And it was starting to stalk me. And I thought, no one around. I was just in the middle of nowhere, and every time I walked, it kept following me.
Oh, no.
So I started walking for the rest of the trip back until I got to all of the units and all of that. And as soon as I got all the units, I turned around and I just walked very, very quickly.
That's extraordinary.
They're amazing dogs.
No, you don't. But you don't want one thinking of you as food.
Oh, I don't know. You'd be all right as a grown man, wouldn't you?
Oh, well.
They're pretty big, though. They're jowly, too. They've got some at Pandana at the Wildlife Park. Amazing creatures.
There's also a difference between surviving the encounter and receiving multiple lacerations and, being in pain as a result of the encounter.
Have many adults been attacked by dingoes?
Oh, I'm not sure. Maddie almost was. Mark in Highbury, good morning.
G'day, David. Will, how you going?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, Mark.
Good. A few years ago, we had a pet sheep, and we're playing cricket out in the backyard, and our mate was batting, and the sheep just took a disliking to him and charged him.
You're joking.
Wow.
As the bowler come in to bowl the ball was halfway down, and the sheep come from fine leg and had a crack at the batsman, our mate. It's got a score with.
What did it do to him? Did it ram him, Mark, or did it bite him?
No, just chased him around the yard. The guy our mate just took off. He was scared as, and he just ran around the yard. The sheep was about 2 feet behind him. If he got him, he would have knocked him in the middle of next week, I reckon.
That is great.
What do you think?
It's quite funny.
Beautifully told. So we've got to pick one.
Yes, if someone gets the Ramsay Street street sign.
Look, I reckon just because he's provided us with visual evidence too, I think Steve in Port Noarlunga for the minke whales has to win it.
I like that. That sounds extraordinary. What an experience. Steve, you've got the Ramsay Street street sign coming your way. Don't despair, everyone else. There's another one to give away before 9 o'clock in anticipation of the final a little bit later tonight when we will also be chatting with Dr. Carl Kennedy as well before 9 o'clock today. So plenty more opportunities if you're a Neighbours fan to get that street sign.
Bonus local delivery on selected big brand mattresses now at Harvey Norman when you spend over $999, including King Coil by A.H. Beard, Sealy Posturepedic, Sleepmaker, Sealy Optimum, Beauty Rest, Body Balance by A.H. Beard, and Temper. Now's the time to upgrade your mattress and receive bonus delivery on selected big brand mattresses when you spend over $999. Available on in-store purchases only. Bonus local delivery on selected mattresses now at Harvey Norman.
Do you still love your car? Why not take it to Edwardstown Mazda to see what it's really worth? It's the safest and easiest way to move your car on and get into a new or used Mazda. 862 South Road, Edwardstown.
Even the greatest icons could do with an update, like Farmers Union Iced Coffee.
That's right, and now it'll be an even more tummies. Farmers Union Iced Coffee lactose-free is here.
Made with fresh Aussie milk and real coffee, but lactose-free and with 25% less added sugar than the original.
Experts at the Farmers Union have perfected the recipe, ensuring it tastes just like the original SA icon.
Try the legend without the lactose for yourself. Proud Aussie-owned and made right here in SA since 1977. It's a Farmers Union Iced Coffee or it's nothing.
Shane Lynch was just 13 when his parents found dirty magazines under his bed. I mean, they were filthy, covered in concrete, dust and muck. Copies of Dreamy Driveways and Concrete Connoisseur. This fetish later gave birth to Adelaide Exposed Concrete, highly skilled professionals dedicated to pouring perfect concrete paths, sheds and exposed aggregate driveways. AdelaideExposedConcrete.com.au. Best on ground all year round.
The passing of someone close
places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family owned and operated, because it's personal.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 14 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Physio Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. physioextra.com.
A P-plater has been caught nearly 7 times over the legal alcohol limit at Winvale. Senior Constable Jan Cullinan says they spotted him on Park Lane Drive last night.
The driver, who is actually a provisional licence holder, was breath tested and produced a blood alcohol reading of 0.342. So a 39-year-old man from Winvale has been reported for failing to stop drink driving and breaching his licence conditions, and he's going to go to court at a later date.
The US Federal Reserve has raised benchmark interest rates by 0.75% as it battles to rein in inflation. It brings the key rate to its highest level since 2018. And despite higher interest rates here as well, SA is tipped to lead the nation's property price growth. Prices here and in Perth are forecast to rise by as much as 5% for the year to December. The other capitals are set to fall between 1% and 6%. New laws designed to protect victims of family and domestic violence are being introduced to federal parliament today. Under the changes to the Fair Work Act, all workers will be entitled to 10 days of paid leave. Staff are currently only eligible for 5 days of unpaid leave. ACTU President Michelle O'Neill says they've been campaigning for the change for a decade.
It will mean that people who are experiencing domestic violence will no longer have to choose between their jobs or their income or their safety or the safety of their children.
Analysis of blood donor samples has found nearly half of Australia's population recently caught COVID. A study of more than 5,000 samples showed a jump in the number of adults with the virus from 17% in February to 46% by early June. Kirby Institute Professor John Caldor says it coincides with the lifting of restrictions.
That coincided with the appearance in Australia in December last year of the Omicron wave. And those two things coincided with a very much more transmissible variant to lead to a very large increase in the number of infections in the community, and that's continued.
COVID cases climbed above 4,000 again in SA yesterday and 4 more deaths were recorded. 365 people remain in hospital, 8 in ICU. The mother of Queensland schoolgirl Charlize Mutton has been charged over a home invasion where 2 guns were allegedly stolen. The 9-year-old's body was found near the Colo River after she went missing in the New South Wales Blue Mountains earlier this year. Police say a break-in was uncovered as part of the investigation into her alleged murder. A protest will be held in Canberra urging the Prime Minister to take action on the treatment of Julian Assange. The WikiLeaks founder is fighting his extradition to the US from a London prison. Protester Robert Barwick says people will be coming from all over the country to ask Anthony Albanese to stand up to America and the UK.
I'm coming from Melbourne myself because this is such an important issue. I'm just hoping that many people who can answer the call so there's enough people there to be noticed by the Prime Minister.
Researchers have found conclusive evidence of a link between head knocks and degenerative brain disease. Harvard University and 8 other institutions are encouraging sporting bodies to treat knocks in children as a health threat on par with smoking. They want tackling eliminated in rugby before the age of 14 and heading outside the penalty box in soccer to be banned. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide knows it simply cannot afford another slow start when it takes on Carlton in its clash at Adelaide Oval on Saturday night. The Crows have won only 4 first quarters all season. Defender Brodie Smith telling Rowie they need to get on top of what's going wrong at the start of games.
2 away games in a row where we haven't rocked up in the first quarter and it's killed us. So definitely something we've got to work out, because you give a team like Sydney a start like we did and you're out of the game.
The Crows and Blues will announce their teams tonight, as will Port Adelaide and Collingwood ahead of Saturday's match at the MCG. Australia's flag bearers have been named for the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. 3-time hockey gold medalist Eddie Ockenden and veteran Rachel Grinham from squash will carry the flag tomorrow. Well, Sydney Roosters coach Trent Robinson is applauding the Manly Sea Eagles for wearing a pride jersey despite it causing a stir. 7 players are refusing to pull on the rainbow colours and have been told to stay away from tonight's clash at Brookvale Oval. Robinson says discrimination isn't just a rugby league problem, but a society-wide issue.
Everyone's equal, no matter what race, gender, sexual preference, everyone's equal. Let people make their choice and let's not discriminate against those, and we're still doing that.
The women's soccer Euro finalists have been decided, with Germany beating France 2-1 in their semi-final this morning. That means they'll now take on England in the final. And John Millman has been beaten in his round of 16 match at the Atlanta Open, going down in straight sets to Brandon Nakashima. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Kidman Park, you'll find gasworks this morning. Fendon Road near Grange Road is down to 25 k's both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleford Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. At Darlington, changed traffic conditions this morning with new asphalt that's gone down South Road at Marion Road, speeds at 40. And we're busy right now at the Port River Expressway at the North-South Motorway area. Cameras, Candies Road, O'Halloran Hill and Golfview Road at Christie's Beach. The King Winter Sale ends Sunday. Up to 50% off selected Australian designed award-winning furniture. Sale ends Sunday. Visit the King Keswick showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
3 out of 4 people never hear back from interviews. Shouldn't people matter more than that? Zoom Recruitment.
A shower or two and 14 today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16. A late shower or two Saturday, 17. And then showers for Sunday, 15. At the moment, 6. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
8 after 8, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday. If you're joining us for the first time, you've tuned in at a good time. Matt Abraham's coming up a little bit later this hour. We'll also start Smeg Hour a little bit later with the patron saint of the Smeg Hour, David Penberthy, back on the program. It feels old again. The dish that defines your suburb. That's coming up before 8 o'clock. We've had some services out in the hills in the last couple of days on account of industrial action. This morning, though, it's not more traditional, but it's certainly more recent. There's a small number of Hills bus services that will be affected due to the old favourite COVID. There's staff availability issues. So some of those services that were affected by strike action in the last 2 days are again affected. The T840, the 861 and the 840X. Just check the Adelaide Metro website. They've got a good list of all the outages at the moment. But that one is good old-fashioned staff shortages. We started the program this morning talking about Commonwealth Games starting. The opening ceremony is tomorrow. And in just the last couple of hours, the announcement was made about our Commonwealth Games flag bearers, one of whom joins us right now on 5AA Breakfast. It's a big congratulations to squash legend Rachel Grinham. Rachel, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. How are you going?
We're very well, Rachel. We're excited talking to you, but we're probably not as excited as you are. What an honour.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, I'm not really quite sure what's happened in the last few hours. It's all been a bit of a whirlwind and a complete shock to me. So, it's still sinking in, to be honest.
Well, this is what is really exciting about this chat, is you've literally only found out in the last couple of hours. How does it happen? Who calls you? Do you get an inkling?
Well, no. Well, we kind of got asked to go for a walk with our chef de mission, Patricia Thomas, and the Governor-General and his wife, which I just had assumed would there probably be a dozen other athletes there as well. And it turned out it was just Eddie and I, which sort of was a little bit like, is this possibly going to be us as the flag bearers, because it was just before the announcement. And then we just sort of stopped, and Patria, she just sort of stopped and said, it's my honour to ask you guys to be flag bearers. So it was pretty surreal.
Sensational. So do they have to walk you through like what it involves? Like, did you go to a rehearsal? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, no idea. We've asked we've got a couple of flag bearers here already, like Anna Mears, Damien, Sherelle, all part of the the staff, and they were here. We're talking to them. They just go ahead. You just enjoy it, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, there's two of us this time, so I think it's hard for those in the past to sort of say how to do it when now that it's going to be two of us, so it might be a different technique anyway.
Yeah. So where does this rate for you, Rachel, in amongst gold and silver Com Games, world titles, carrying the flag for your country at the Com Games? Is it right to even put it in the context of sporting achievement, because it's sort of reward for a body of work?
I'm not sure, but I mean, just obviously as a highlight of your career, or the result of your the work you put into your sport. I think it's got to be the highlight of all. Like, and it's come at a time when I've sort of thought all of my highlights were over almost. Despite me being here, my 6th Commonwealth Games was incredible enough, as it is. So for this to just happen in the last few hours is like I just can't really put it into words at the moment. It's still hitting me, and I'm sure I'll be laying in bed all night, just wondering what just happened.
Well, we're in the happy position, Rachel, with our hours. We'll be up and about Friday morning around 4:15 a.m. So we'll get to see you coming out for Australia, and we know a lot of our listeners are going to be getting up too, because it's always exciting, and sport's such a great escape from the day-to-day realities of life. So we wish you all the very best, and we look forward to watching you represent our nation. How cool is that?
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you.
Congratulations to you, Rachel. Rachel Grunow, one of two with Ed Ockenden, the hockey player, Commonwealth Games flag bearers at 4:15 tomorrow morning on Channel 7. You'll be able to watch the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. I've played it once.
It's hardcore.
I love it.
I find it really enjoyable.
Both hamstrings off the bone in the process doing it. It's sort of little short, sharp movements.
Yeah, and the turning is really hard.
It's brutal. So I was surprised to read this morning it's never been an Olympic sport. So Commonwealth Games sport since 1988.
Chris Dittmar, Adelaide's own Chris Dittmar, he was the #1 men's squash player for a long time.
Absolutely. It surprised me. It just feels like the kind of sport that should be an Olympic sport.
Yeah, totally. I don't know why it's not.
What a career, though, and that Rachel's had. She's 45 years. I didn't want to bring it up because it's not nice to bring up, a lady's age. But 45 and going to another Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
What
a
awesome.
Great reward for such a wonderful career. 14 minutes after 7. Let's check traffic. Discover Bloom at Glenside. Prestige apartments for discerning boomers. Register at bloomglenside.com.au.
Thanks, Will. Roads working really well this morning. Simply some road works to keep in mind. At Kidman Park, we've got gasworks there. Findon Road near Grange Road is down to 25 k's both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace. That's for the Illuminate Festival. At McGill, intersection upgrade works continue there. McGill Road near St Bernard's Road, and it's starting to get busy at the moment. South Road at Mylene. Cameras to keep in mind: Candy Road, O'Halloran Hill, and Lehman Grove at Felixstowe. Delicious 100% clean Mexican food. Enjoy a Guzmani Gomez burrito or bowl for only $9.90. Yeah, it's just $9.90 when you order through the GYG app. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
There's so many people who spend hours upon hours sitting in front of a screen. Let's talk to Macquarie University's Professor Wayne Warburton.
Something that I think is really true, Leon, that it's not popular to say this in the digital world, but people prefer things in the real world.
9 till 12 weekdays.
Yes, you can't have a digital cup of coffee.
Exactly right. I'm going to use it, man. That's awesome.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
You can go everywhere, man, at the Let's Go Caravan and Camping Show, man.
It's a huge show, and it's on this week. For tickets, go to caravanandcampingsa.com.au.
The latest caravans, camper trailers and RVs, a huge range of camping equipment, four-wheel drive accessories and everything else for your dream road trip with experts on hand to help.
There'll be lots to see and do. Shop, learn and be entertained.
The Let's Go Caravan and Camping Show, yeah!
It's on this week, so don't miss out.
Let's go!
When it comes to choosing a personal alert device, you want to make sure you pick a proven and tried system like the Care Alert Smart Dialer. In the event of an emergency, all it takes is a simple press on the SOS button and help will be on its way. Whether you're at home, out and about, travelling Australia, Care Alert has a system to suit your needs. Care Alert, your safety companion. Call 1300 75 85 95, 1300 75 85 95, or go to carealert.com.au.
Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer. Get the new Google Pixel 6a 128GB for $0 upfront when you sign up to a new Optus $69 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months. Plus, receive a bonus $150 Harvey Norman gift card. Offer ends August 8. Minimum cost $1,650. Not available with other offers. In-store only. Cancellation fees, terms and conditions apply. Visit Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer.
Go, Harvey, go! Feeling the burn? Save cash with Cheap as Chips Hot Buys.
Cheap as Chips.
Radiant 2-litre liquid or 2 kilo washing powder, a hot buy, $7.99 each. True Blue assorted 2-litre soft drinks, sizzling, only $2. Simple skincare range, scorching, $5.99. Direct from the UK chocolate range, red hot, any two for $6. Check out this week's catalogue for more hot buys in store and online. Save cash and live cheaper with Cheap as Chips Hot Buys now.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide, for Adelaide. 9 News.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
18 after 7, we'll hear from Stephen Rowe and the Sports Show in just a few moments' time. I want to talk musical history, though, first. The Billboard, you'd be well across the Billboard music charts over the many, many years.
That's been the sort of gold standard in determining, you know, who's the bestseller and all the rest of it.
What's popular? They go by record sales, and you get a sense of exactly right what's popular.
Was it Dick Clark who used to host the show, the Billboard show?
Maybe eventually, but I'm not sure he did it 82 years ago, or did he? Because
well, he might have gone close.
82 years ago today, the first ever Billboard chart was published ranking the sales of recorded songs.
So that's what year? Maths. Trying to do some maths here on the fly. 82.
1940.
1940. That's a pretty easy sum, isn't it?
No.
So I'm trying to guess, what was number one in 1940?
So it was July...
Was it Vera Lynn?
No, it was not Vera Lynn. So July 27, 1940, so, 28th here in Australia.
1940.
Here it is. We've got for you the top three. I'll start at
this is good.
I'll start at number 3. Top sellers in 1940.
Makes a cloudy day sunny.
Is that Bing Crosby?
Makes a bee think of honey.
I think you've
just as I think of you.
I like the music around the time of the Second World War.
It's superb.
I absolutely love it. It's Glenn Miller.
Okay. Glenn Miller.
Imagination by Glenn Miller. Number 2 on the Billboard chart was this.
The breeze and I are saying with a sigh that you no longer care. The breeze and I are whispering goodbye.
It's Jimmy Dorsey, The Breeze and I. Number 2 on the 1940 inaugural Billboard chart. It just puts a smile on your face, these songs.
Oh, they're
just
great.
beautiful.
It's superb music.
And number one on the first ever Billboard chart released.
I'll never smile again until I smile at you.
Sounds like an old record that's been played a few times.
Yeah, that one does. I'll Never Smile Again by Tommy Dorsey. So that's the...
Tommy Dorsey, 2 entries.
Jimmy Dorsey was number 2.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy Dorsey
Were
was
they
number
brothers?
2. That's a great question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll get our research team out onto it. The top, rounding out the top 10.
We get our best Dorsey guy working on that one.
Number 4, Playmates by Kay Kaiser. Fools Rush In by Glenn Miller, who has multiple entries.
I didn't realise Glenn Miller sang. I thought he was just the big band leader.
Where Was I? Charlie Barnett. Pennsylvania 65000, Glenn Miller again. Imagination, Tommy Dorsey. So that's amazing. So 2 songs in the inaugural top 10 called Imagination. 3 by Glenn Miller was Imagination.
Lucy just said apparently, though, it wasn't Glenn Miller singing. It was the band's singer.
Right, so it's Glenn Miller's...
Because it was the Glenn Miller band.
Yeah, it's Glenn Miller's composition.
Yeah.
Sierra Sue by Bing Crosby. So Bing Crosby did get in there at number 9. And Make Believe Island by Mitchell Ayres rounded out the very first top 10.
The Dorseys apparently were brothers as well.
What a family.
I wonder how many of our listeners hearing those songs went, I remember that. I had that song when I was a kid.
Did anyone own the record? Anyone still got a record?
I'm trying to think, did 45s even exist then? Like, would those songs have been released as singles, or would they have been... A lot of records back then were probably still 78s. It's amazing, isn't it?
I'm just reading some of the text.
It's pre-rock and roll, really.
Because the piece of paper I'm reading from to tell you the top 10 is literally a tear-off that's been preserved, and I'm zooming in on it. So it has to explain what the top selling, what this chart is. There's never been this chart before. So we get it, but people in 1940 were going, what the hell's this? So it says this: recordings listed below are currently the biggest money makers in automatic phonographs. Selections are the reports gathered each week by representatives of the Billboard for the record buying guide feature that appears in the music machines section.
The music machine section.
Reports are gathered from at least 4 leading phonograph operators in each of the 30 most important phonograph operating centres in the country. It's an absolute time capsule. It's just spectacular.
You know what payola was? The origin of the term payola came about in the 1950s, and far be it for, working in radio. Heaven forbid that radio stations ever do anything unethical. But payola came about where radio stations were being paid bribes by record companies to play their songs so that the songs would end up in the Billboard charts. And it became this huge black market for dodgy radio stations where they'd take money, they'd play all these songs, the songs would get into the charts, and then people would go, oh, that sounds like a good song because it's at number 3 and it's getting all this airtime, so I'll go out and buy it.
Oh, wow.
There's a huge investigation into it. It was a total racket. That's a great thing. And let us know, folks, if you grew up with those songs, if you go, about time we had some Jimmy Dorsey on 5AA.
Yeah, let us know. 8223000.
Pull back on the Powderfinger and the INXS and start playing some Jimmy Dorsey instead.
Oh, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that. 0248081395. That's the Automasters text line as well. Let's flash back to the sports show last night, who are flashing back at the moment to the Crows Premiership reunion and some of the people on that side that will be recognised this weekend when the Crows clash with Carlton on Saturday night. Book your service online at North Point Toyota to win the cost back. It is the North Point way. It was Brett James from the 97 flag who joined Rowie last night.
Last bounce, Sean ran up, and then there it is.
It's the 1997 premiers are the Crows. It's unbelievable. Look at those scenes there. One must feel for St Kilda. They were magnificent in defeat. What a wonderful moment for South Australian football.
Down at half-time by 13 points. I mean, we all know about the magic of the Messiah in Malcolm Blight. What happened at half-time to turn that around?
Yeah, well, the 2 years are pretty different. Kind of went down at half-time both games. So 97, Blight, he let us have it in 97, and a few boys in particular. So, yeah, he definitely was pretty fired up in 97 and, yeah, kind of went around the room and revved up a few guys and a few blokes. Yeah, got a couple rev up as they went around. So, yeah, the reality was we kind of went out there and took the handbrake off a little bit and became a bit more aggressive running out of half back, which was exactly the same in 98.
We heard Chad Rintoul might have copped something at half time.
Well, I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, Rince copped 3 or 4. Blighty I think Blighty went back in his room and he came back out to have another go at him.
Probably have to issue an apology in 2022 for doing that kind of thing. But at 97, it won a grand final. Great memories. And
just David Noble.
You
can't get away with that.
Exactly.
Robust criticism.
Can you imagine if a coach today said about a player what Malcolm Blight said about David Pittman?
Oh, yeah.
I reckon the AFLPA just about call for them to be sacked.
Oh, for sure.
There'd be something crazy would happen.
Yeah. Even if you got so angry that you held a press conference and said, what was it? Couldn't give a rat's toss bag. You know, like basically say your entire playing list are useless. I don't know why I bother with these half-wits, you know. Yeah, there'd be an absolute orgy of hurt feelings. That kind of rough talk doesn't cut the mustard in 2022, does it?
Does it? What a great chat, great memories, and the reunion, of course, taking place this weekend of the premiership side of 1997. Brett James is, of course, a big part of the midfield. Then,
what do you think about these reunion things? I think they're really important for the players, but I think for the fans and for the club more broadly, it's when you sort of get back to watching the sepia-tinted version of your club's last grand final, or premiership rather, because there was a grand final more recently. It just sort of rubs it in a bit in a way, doesn't it?
Oh, it's depressing. It's genuinely depressing, because I reckon every Crows fan will remember at that time, if you're old enough to remember at that time, it felt as though the Crows were among the top 4 big clubs of the AFL and were set to be a juggernaut forever. Biggest membership base, whole state behind them, won back-to-back premiers. Even then, in the ensuing 5 or 6 years, had probably arguably the best side, at least 2 occasions, and stuffed it up. But it always felt like...
05, 06, you mean?
That's right. We're always going to be around the mark. We're going to be around the mark. And then it's been a long time since we've been around. Well, 2017 obviously happened. But there hasn't been that period of just prolonged contention that you would have expected. It feels like the club's fallen back.
At the start of the year, you look at every pundit and everyone's got... Yeah. The Crows are in the 8.
Yep. Yeah. Like even the spike was short, if you know what I mean. It felt like, it felt like the Crows were going to be a Geelong or Hawthorn.
Well, if it's any consolation, it feels a bit like Porter in the same position now too.
The most damning statistic out there at the moment is Port's record against top 4 sides in the Ken Hinkley era. That's doing the rounds at the moment on social media. The problem with that statistic is it makes the achievement of the Port side look less surprising than it is, in the sense that when you've gone, oh, geez, I can't believe they lost another prelim. Well, if you look at the data, you go, actually, no, we should have seen all this coming.
Yeah.
It paints a really damning picture. Just while we're on sport,
it explains too why the more, hard-headed, beady-eyed Port fans who read all those sorts of stats are so fired up about the need for change at the top.
Well, they know it. They live it.
Yeah, that's
the thing.
Exactly.
So, they tend to know what they're talking about. That's a sport that'll be a conversation continued tonight. To book your service online at North Point Toyota to win the cost back, it is the North Point way.
I was injured in an accident at work, and I had no idea where to turn. If I went to a lawyer, I was expecting legal jargon I didn't understand. But when I met with Marnie's lawyers, I knew I'd made the right decision. The first interview was free, and they sat me down and addressed all my concerns, explaining my rights in a way that I understood. I successfully made a claim for my injury and received compensation I was entitled to.
Marnie's Lawyers. Work injury law experts. marnieslawyers.net.au.
Introducing Australia's Most Wanted. Unanimously judged as Cars of the Year. The fully electric Kia EV6, winner of Wheels Car of the Year. And the Kia Sportage, Drives Car of the Year. To pick your side in this sibling rivalry, visit kia.com.au.
Kia. Moving
movement that inspires.
Even the greatest icons could do with an update, like Farmers Union Iced Coffee.
That's right, and now it'll be in even more tummies. Farmers Union Iced Coffee lactose-free is here.
Made with fresh Aussie milk and real coffee, but lactose-free and with 25% less added sugar than the original.
Experts at the Farmers Union have perfected the recipe, ensuring it tastes just like the original SA icon.
Try the legend without the lactose for yourself. Proud Aussie-owned and made right here in SA since 1977. It's a Farmers Union Iced Coffee or it's nothing.
Barnacle Bill Seafood Signature Bonus Meal now on. Sumptuous fish, freshly cut fishettes, succulent prawns, calamari and chicken tenderloins. Enjoy all of Barnacle Bill's signature seafood favourites in one pack. All served with Barnacle Bill's tartare sauce plus bonus chips and a 1.25 litre Coke. All for $29.90. And for your convenience, phone ahead. Order, collect, don't wait. Feed the whole crew with Barnacle Bill quality seafood at a sensational price.
Fresh from the sea, it's gotta be Barnacle Bill.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 14 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Looking for the perfect winter exercise? Physio Extra offers clinical Pilates at 6 locations. physioextra.com.
A P-plater's been caught drink driving at Windvale. When police tried to pull over a Holden sedan on Park Lane Drive last night, it took off its speed. Patrols didn't follow. They instead went to the registered owner's address where they found the car. The 39-year-old allegedly blew .342, which is nearly 7 times over the legal limit. A car stolen from Lockleys at the weekend has been found at West Beach. Just before 8 last night, a man called police having spotted his stolen grey Volkswagen Amarok near Burbridge Road. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says patrols headed straight to the scene.
They've recovered the stolen car as well as the suspect nearby. And he's a 54-year-old man from West Beach and he's going to court this morning for illegal use.
Adelaide's housing market is set to defy the trend and surge despite higher interest rates and cost of living pressures. Property prices here and in Perth are tipped to rise by as much as 5% for the year to December. PropTrack's Cameron Cusher says the other capitals are likely to fall.
Both Sydney and Melbourne will see the largest declines. And again, this is because they're the most expensive markets and higher interest rates are going to have the biggest impact on people's borrowing capacities in both Sydney and Melbourne.
The US Federal Reserve has raised its benchmark interest rate by 0.75 percentage point. Inflation's hit a 4-decade high in the country as its economy teeters on the brink of a recession. Labor says it's preparing to steer Australia through a difficult period as our economy starts to slow. More from Michael Packey in Canberra.
Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers will today deliver his much-anticipated economic statement, which comes ahead of the October budget. He'll say the challenges facing Australia and the globe more broadly will cut growth by at least 0.5%. That'll be the case for the financial year just gone, the new one coming up, and the 23-24 financial year. The government says, despite the headwinds, Labor plans to pursue its policies, arguing they'll create new opportunities, industries and jobs over the longer term.
A man extradited from WA is due to face a Sydney court today, charged over the murder of a German backpacker in New South Wales more than 15 years ago. Simone Strobel was found dead in Lismore in 2005, 6 days after being reported missing. The federal government will extend the Ukrainian visa pathways. From next week, Ukrainian nationals who come to Australia and are unable to return home can apply for bridging visas. It'll give them full working rights for up to 12 months. Protesters will gather in Canberra to pressure the government to do more to help Julian Assange. The WikiLeaks founder is fighting his extradition to the US to face espionage charges. Protest organiser Larisse Vera says he's suffering.
What we need is for him to be released and for the world to realise and governments to realise he committed no crime. He exposed war crimes and corruption all over the world.
And after nearly 9,000 episodes, the finale of TV soap Neighbours will air tonight. The 90-minute special is expected to feature many of the past stars, including Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
New Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren, and Tom, will you be watching?
I think I will be. Why not, for a bit of intrigue? Not the most avid fan, not as avid as Mel Usher, but I'll certainly be having a look. Let's start with some Commonwealth Games breaking news, Kendall. Rachel Grinham says she's thrilled and a little lost for words after being chosen to be one of Australia's flag bearers for the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. The 45-year-old squash legend telling David and Will she's just delighted.
I'm not really quite sure what's happened in the last few hours. It's all been a bit of a whirlwind and a complete shock to me. So, yeah, it's still sinking in, to be honest.
Three-time hockey gold medalist Eddie Ockenden will also carry the flag. To football, GWS has met with Alistair Clarkson for the third time as they continue their search for a new coach. The club has also met with Adam Kingsley and Adam Uze in Melbourne. Speaking after the meeting, GWS CEO Dave Matthews says Clarkson's track record speaks for itself.
Yeah, it was a good discussion. Obviously, we've got a vacancy and we're going through a process, and clearly with Alistair's background, you have to catch up with him, and it was a really good conversation.
Meantime, the Crows and Port Adelaide will release their sides tonight ahead of their round 20 matches on Saturday. Well, the Breakaway Live Golf Tour has announced it will expand to 14 tournaments next year with a prize pool worth $580 million. Paul Casey is one player who has defected to the tour and is now set to miss the Ryder Cup along with captain Henrik Stenson. But the world number 31 has turned the tables on Team Europe bosses, including Europe's head boss Keith Pelly and Ryder Cup director Guy Kinnings.
And I could actually ask them some questions. You know, we could ask Mr. Kinnings why the relationship deteriorated between the European Tour and Saudi Golf. You know, we've got a lot of questions, but right now they all seem to be coming our way, not his way.
The third stop on Liv's 8-leg calendar will be played at one of Donald Trump's golf courses. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now let's check traffic.
Roads are working well for the drive-in today. Simply some roadworks to look out for. Kidman Park, gasworks there. Findon Road near Grange Road. It's out of 25 in both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. At McGill, you'll find intersection upgrade works continuing there today. McGill Road near St Bernard's, road speed's reduced and it's getting busy South Road at Mile End right now. At TPG Telecom, your business journey is theirs too. For reliable, secure, fast and affordable telecom solutions, visit tpgtelecom.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
3 out of 4 people never hear back from interviews. Shouldn't people matter more than that? Zoom Recruitment.
A shower or two and 14, partly cloudy tomorrow 16, a late shower or two Saturday 17 and then showers for Sunday 15. At the moment 6. More news as it happens on 5AA.
What's better than a free car giveaway? An 8-car free giveaway. Join Sky City Rewards and you could win one of 8 brand new MG3s valued at over 20 grand. Each time you visit, swipe your member card at any kiosk, print your ticket and enter it into the barrel. Win a car per week for 8 weeks, but you must be there to win. Entry's free and so is joining Sky City Rewards.
Sky City.
T's and C's apply. Visit skycityadelaide.com.au for details. Licence number T22/790.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
Yeah. 22 minutes to 8. John Blake coming up before 8 o'clock. But right now, it being a Thursday morning after 7:30, it's time to dissect the spin of the week.
9 out of 10, out of 10.
And the man with the scalpel is Matt Abraham, your local Mitre 10 friendly service expert advice, quality brands at great prices. That's mighty helpful, Mitre 10. Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David.
Lovely hearing your voice again, Matt. Sorry I missed you last week. I was stuck home being not sick, but good to be back. Good to be back.
It was good to hear you back. It's about time, you slacker.
It was mandated slackness.
I
In
know.
my defence.
Well, you've got to keep everyone safe.
You do. Abundance of caution.
We had a pretty enjoyable chat with the Premier yesterday, Matt. Not sure if you heard it. The subject, the prime subject of conversation was the Labor Party's accepting of a donation from the CFMEU, the Victorian branch, who have taken over here in South Australia. As we talk spin, what did you make of the Premier's explanation?
Well, I did listen to it, and then I've watched it back a couple of times now. And You know, I don't know if you experience this syndrome, Malinowski syndrome, when you're interviewing him, and it's a little bit like being hypnotised. You know, like it all starts. You know, you're there and you think, oh yeah, that makes sense, and then, you know, later you go, no, it doesn't. You know, it reminds me. You know, I used to go to Paul Keating press conferences in my not terribly successful career in Canberra, in the Federal Press Gallery, and you know, there'd be a really bad set of numbers, you know, come in, and you go into a press conference and think, oh, he's really, this is terrible. And you'd come out thinking, oh, that's not so bad, actually, now he's explained it. You know. And that's, look, here's the Premier, and this is his logic yesterday, okay? So, David, you've pursued this story and done it, you know, a very good piece of journalism here, I think, in digging this out. The fact that, firstly, the Victorian branch of the CFMEU, which is very militant, it's got a lot of bad baggage, is taking over the South Australian branch. That does have big implications for the construction industry in South Australia. You cannot argue it doesn't. It will. And they won't be good. And the ALP, before the election, accepted a $125,000 donation from the CFMEU. Now, that's a lot of money in anyone's business in a political party, because political parties have to work hard for their cash. And we had the Premier announcing as a policy before the election and a promise that he will ban political donations from unions, from businesses, from anyone.
It's a story that's not short of angles.
Okay, I thought I'd just sort of lay them all out there. And this was his logic yesterday, and this is what I found hypnotic. This was his logic. Well, yes, I am going to ban donations. But to do that, I had to get elected. And to get elected, I had to accept a donation so that I could then ban political donations. And I think, no, you don't. You just didn't have to accept $125,000. Like, you actually, you need legislation to stop other political parties doing it, but there's nothing at all that stops the ALP at any time from deciding off its own bat that it's not going to accept donations from the CFMEU or unions that have got baggage.
Don't you think, Matt, that part of the issue too with this story is that, as questionable as what has happened in the past is, as you just outlined with your analysis, the bigger problem for Labor now could actually be what happens in the future, because there's already evidence through a couple of new enterprise agreements that have been signed, principally the ones with Built Proprietary Limited, that are much more generous than anything that's ever been seen before in South Australia. The other problem too is that, you know, from a journalist perspective, parts of this story are like shooting fish in a barrel, because like that photograph that emerged of that chap called Scott Vink, who wanted a selfie, and clearly the Premier had no idea who he was, but the fact that this guy in his CFMEU t-shirt rocks up at the election night party, gets his selfie with the Premier. Now, someone gives me a picture of that guy on Facebook, but then I look at it and I go, hang on, I think that's that Scott Vink guy from the CFMEU. Now, there's so many yahoos inside this union, the real hotheads, and he's one of them, and there's court evidence and judgments against him making that point, is you type that guy's name into Google and the names of other people, and it's like bingo. Straight away, you've got links to federal court appearances, huge fines for misbehaviour and misconduct on work sites. And the donation links Labor to the Victorian CFMEU, and if the local economy suffers as a result of the actions of the Scott Vinks of this world, how does Peter Malinowski explain that away?
Well, this to me is the central question, and that's why I'm actually surprised that the ALP accepted the donation.
Me too. They've bought themselves $125,000 worth of crappy headlines if it continues the way it is.
And you know, a world of pain sort of going down the track, because to me, okay, it's 125 grand. That's a lot of money. You would have won the election without the 125 grand. And the CFMEU were campaigning with some fairly interesting posters. Some of which are still up on Stobie polls.
Well, the Labor candidate who was running against Stephen Marshall, she came out and described the CFMEU's rat poster of the Premier as, quote, reprehensible. Reprehensible. Like, that's a very strong word to use. and then the same ostensibly reprehensible organisation, it turns out, is funding your campaign?
Yeah. So it is, look, it's not a good look. And what interests me is that the Premier argues, like you put to him, that, look, it looks like they're your guys now. And he said, well, they're not. You know that, Dave. You know, and I think he repeated that a couple of times. Well, I don't think you I don't think you do know that, Dave, if I can put a number, because what you said was it makes it look like they're your guys. Well, it does make it look like they're your guys. And saying it doesn't make it look like that doesn't mean it doesn't look like that.
You know, the other thing, though, and you teased this out with your In Daily column the other day about the Premier's business credentials. The truth is, business was over Stephen Marshall. I know so many business people in this town who thought that he was a wet fish in terms of letting Nicola Spurrier run the show. There was a sense that a lot of almost betrayal among some of the more hard-headed, cashed-up libs about the land tax reforms. There was huge frustration about the explosion of factionalism and the fact that yet again the SA Liberals looked inept in government. Malley was almost like the preferred candidate of business when he ran. And I can say as an absolute fact, and there's guys quoted in the paper this morning saying words to this effect, the very people in business who were backing him 2 months ago are now going, what the hell is he lying down with these dogs for? Because if you lie down with dogs, you get covered in fleas.
Yeah. And you know, as you said, I had, before this came out, questioned the difference between Premier Malinowskis's rhetoric and the reality. And the rhetoric is, and he says this, you know, he had a photo up yesterday of his pro-business stance, and he uses that term pro-business. He used it in his election night speech, his victory speech. He used it throughout the election campaign. It's a big thing. But there is a big gap between the rhetoric and, you know, what he's actually doing. For instance, if you're pro-business, are you seriously going to legislate to stop Westfield from charging for parking, making a commercial decision on land it owns at Tea Tree Gully to charge parking? Now, that's a commercial decision by this major ASX-listed company. And as a pro-business Premier, you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, it's incredibly popular, and you certainly shouldn't be doing it when across the road there's Modbury Hospital where you're charging doctors, nurses and patients and visitors for parking. You know, are you a pro-business Premier if you tear up, as he's promised to do, a privatisation contract with the private operators of our trains and our train services? I think there are questions to be answered there. I don't think any of those actions, and there are other examples, are pro-business.
Yeah.
They may be popular though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, Matt, let's get to some spin.
9 out of 10, out of 10, every time.
Okay, now, I'm going to do this in two parts because I want it to sink in, okay? But obviously there are a lot of newbies starting up in the federal parliament, people very excited, Teal independents, and one of them is a Senator Ralph Babet. Now, he's a $100 million man. He's the lone elected person after Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party spent $100 million on election advertising. For that $100 million, they got Senator Ralph Babet, no one else. So he's the sole UAP representative in Parliament. This is him after his first meeting with his fellow senators. I'll just give you a little grab because he's extremely excited.
Morning, mate. How are we feeling? First day? I'm excited. I'm pumped. Ready to do some work in here. Ready to get started. Thank you to the people of Victoria that have given me this opportunity. I'm forever grateful, and I'm ready to work for you.
Okay.
Okay, so he's pumped. You all right? Now, keep in mind that he is a party of one. Okay.
Yep.
He's then asked by a journo, you know, what his position is going to be on the climate legislation.
Have you got any thoughts on the 43% climate legislation? We know that's going to be one of the first things straight into the reps.
So with that one, I'm going to take that back to the party room, and I'm going to discuss that with our advisors, and we'll come up with an answer for that. But today's not that day. Today, I just want to celebrate being here. I want to enjoy my time with my fellow senators before we get too political, and I just want to have a good time. And there'll be time for that, and that time is next week.
Okay. Has he got a room full of shop mannequins that he talks
to? He's going to go back to his party room, which I think's in one of those old, PMG post boxes, red phone boxes, and he's going to have a good discussion with himself about what he's going to do.
That's right. Give himself a good hard talking to.
Anyway, good on him. He sounds pretty excited.
Yeah. Right, why not? Why wouldn't you?
He's got a good job for the next 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent.
How did you rate it, Matt?
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, we get it.
Well, because there's only one of him, I'm giving him 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that seems like the only score it could be. Good on you, Matt Abraham. Thanks to your local Mitre 10. Friendly service, expert advice, quality brands at great prices. That's mighty helpful, Mitre 10. Hey, we've got Frozen tickets to give away this morning. Disney's Frozen the Musical is leaving Adelaide next week. You can still get tickets, though. Great seats are available under $100. Book at Ticketek or stay listening. The show will freeze over at some point in the next hour and 10 minutes.
Just wait for the exciting crunching sound.
Exactly right.
I love that yesterday.
First caller through on 8223 0055.
That wasn't it.
That wasn't it.
That was me making the sound with my mouth.
Yes, you could win the tickets. All right, let's check traffic. Discover Bloom at Glenside, prestige apartments for discerning boomers. Register at bloomglenside.com.au.
Good morning. Well, roads looking pretty good for the driving today. Simply some road works to keep in mind at Kidman Park. Gasworks there. Findon Road near Grange Road. It's now at 25 k's in both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Eliminate Festival. At McGill, intersection upgrade works continue there. McGill Road near St Bernard's Road, and we're starting to get busy Brighton Road at Glenelg South. Cameras, Old South Road, Old Ranella, and South Terrace in the city. Shop using the Coles app for an easy and convenient experience. You can even use it to find products when you're shopping at your local store. Download the Coles app today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Who are we? We're a construction company. We specialise in staff recruitment, selling farm machinery, event organising. We're proudly Australian.
They're none of those, of course. They're scammers, and their targets are businesses, big and small. Scammers might hack your emails, imitate your invoices, and get your customers to pay into their account instead of yours. But they can't if your customers pay using new tech, PayID. Contact your bank about PayID for your business. Australian banks, working to protect you.
G'day, it's Mark Bickley. When you buy a Leader computer, you're buying a computer made right here in Adelaide. You're dealing with people that live in Adelaide, and when it comes to servicing or support, it all happens here in Adelaide. Not overseas, not interstate. Unlike some others, Leader don't have to send anything off for repair. They take care of everything right here. It makes sense to live life local. Live life Leader. Leader Computers. Find your local dealer at leadersystems.com.au.
Now, you all know that I love my local Mitre 10, or as those in the know like to call it, the other hardware store.
The way the year is racing past, it's not too early to start thinking about a great Father's Day gift from your local Mitre 10.
Hey, that's a good idea. But look, if you do buy it now and hide it somewhere, just don't forget where you've hidden it, Will.
Yeah, or just go back and buy another one. Take advantage of this Mighty Rewards member exclusive. If you spend $60 in store, and go in the draw to win a Weber for Dad, you get one entry for every $60 you spend.
What about that? And look, the good news is if you're not a Mighty Rewards member, and you're mad if you're not, it costs nothing to join and you save a lot of money, as I just said, don't worry, it is free to join up.
The draw closes, this is the important info, 21st of August, so you've got a bit of time. For great prices on the right products, especially for Father's Day, along with helpful advice, choose the other hardware store. Mighty helpful, Mitre 10.
Of all the trillions of atoms in the universe, how special it is to think that the atoms of comets, volcanoes, brontosauruses and Shakespeare live on in you, me, chainsaws, pizza ovens, decorative garden meerkats. The middle aisle of Aldi Special Pies. It's special, you can buy every Wednesday and Saturday at Aldi. Good, different.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Six to 8, John Blake coming up in just a moment, but the captain of the dish that defines a suburb is back in the studio.
Thanks to Smeg, it's time for the dish that defines your suburb.
That's right. Today we're playing for the eggshell blue Smeg kettle. Look at this thing. It's just masterpieces of engineering.
Yeah.
All the Smeg gear. It's all quality, built to last.
I bet the tea tastes better coming
It would.
with that. You just something
Well,
about
you know
it.
the other thing too,
Titillate the senses.
There's too many knobs on appliances these days. Not so with Smeg. Like this kettle, it's got an on button. That's what you want, isn't it? Turn it on.
Yeah.
Turned on, turned off again.
Boil water, please.
Yeah. You don't need like like all those multi-faceted toaster dials and everything else. But look, so I haven't done this for a while with the COVID break last week and the holidays beforehand, but we are going to look east. Sorry, where's my compass? We're going to look west today, northwest, to an area of town that is, I think, one of the great sort of modern multicultural beauties of Adelaide in a food sense. So many great grocery stores and pretty diverse. Like there's all sorts of crazy restaurants. I went to one a couple of years back that's an Ethiopian restaurant out there. I'm talking about Kilkenny. But if you were going to pick one dish that defines Kilkenny, which obviously has been the hub of so much immigration to SA from Vietnam, I reckon it would have to be the humble banh mi. The Vietnamese roll, the lunch roll. I remember years ago, about 5 years ago, I saw a bunch of tradies on Goodwood Road outside one of the banh mi stores there, Roll on Saigon. There were about 10 buffy blokes in their high vis and their work boots just hoofing into their banh mis. And it's like, at that point, you know, the banh mi's gone mainstream. But let us know what you think, folks. You can nominate anything. But I would say that if you were going to define Kilkenny as a dish, it would be the banh mi.
All right, 8223 0000. You're playing for that magnificent Smeg kettle. If you're building or renovating, your first choice should be visiting the Smeg showroom at Debney Distributors. Taste the difference with Smeg. It's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
And now, the Lord Mayor of Adelaide, Sandy Verschaw, with another tip for real happiness.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, Sandy Verschaw has some advice. After you've heard all the stuff she states, you may think twice before you pay your rates.
Ni hao, this is Sandy Verschaw, Lord Mayor of Adelaide, with another tip for real happiness. If you want to be really happy and you're coming to the end of your term as Lord Mayor, reflect on all the good things you've done. My council declared that climate change poses a serious risk to the people of Adelaide and it should be treated as a national emergency. That'll get people glued to the town hall. We introduced Ghana language welcomes to council proceedings and the creation of the Adelaide Parklands Foundation because, let's face it, the Adelaide Parkland Preservation Society wasn't causing enough grief. And the amount of ratepayers' money we've spent would make your eyeballs explode. The good thing is, we learn from our mistakes. And boy, have we learnt a lot. As I come to the end of my term as Lord Mayor, I know perfectly well that the only thing people will remember is that we didn't let the Adelaide Football Club rebuild the North Adelaide Aquatic Centre and that it wouldn't have cost the ratepayers anything. The biggest blunder in council history. So really, I'm not sure why I'm so happy.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, Sandy Verschaw had some advice. After the things she thinks she's achieved, why are all the ratepayers really peeved?
More from John Blake after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors, and Breaking at 8 coming up next.
The Haval Jolion is a smart SUV. The design is sharp and the technology genius. But the really smart feature is the driver. Someone savvy enough to demand more and get it. Haval Jolion. Smart move.
Bonus local delivery on selected big brand mattresses now at Harvey Norman when you spend over $999, including King Coil by AH Beard, Sealy Posturepedic, Sleepmaker, Sealy Optimum, Beauty Rest, Body Balance by AH Beard, and Temper. Now's the time to upgrade your mattress and receive bonus delivery on selected big brand mattresses when you spend over $999. Available on in-store purchases only. Bonus local delivery on selected mattresses now at Harvey Norman.
IGA's Price Match Promise. We checked, we matched, you won't pay more. Every week we check and match the regular price of the big two supermarkets on hundreds of everyday products. Just look out for the Price Match tickets in store. Participating stores only. See website for full terms.
Crust pizza is pizza perfection. Every Australian has their favourite. Like Jake, who plays Thursday night footy with the boys and loves a pepperoni pizza after the siren. Or Monica, who's conquering esports online while biting into a Crust Supreme. Or Dylan, dedicated surfer and champion of the environment. He's living on the veg with Crust's new plant-based protein range. Crust Pizza. It's pizza crafted for pizza lovers. Order online at crustpizza.com.au.
Feel that chill? Winter is here, and so are high heating bills. Trade Services SA can install an air conditioner that heats and cools your home from just $599. That's a saving of more than 70% off normal price, thanks to the state government's REPS initiative, which encourages people to reduce energy. Visit tssa.com.au to see if you're eligible. That's tssa.com.au. Terms and conditions apply.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 14 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brattig.
Physio Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. PhysioExtra.com.
Adelaide's housing market is set to buck the national trend despite higher interest rates and cost of living pressures. PropTrack's Cameron Cusher says the local market's actually been one of the best performing.
Adelaide's been the second strongest capital city market for price growth over the past year, and we think it's going to hold up relatively well into next year. So our forecast is that prices will rise still this year between 2 and 5% and then fall between 3 and 6% in 2023.
While in the US, the Federal Reserve has raised its benchmark interest rate by 0.75%. Inflation has jumped to more than 9% in the US, the fastest annual rate in 4 decades. Board Chairman Jerome Powell says the change is aimed at promoting maximum employment and stable prices for the American people.
My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship, especially on those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We are highly attentive to the risks high inflation poses to both sides of our mandate, and we're strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective.
A drink driver's been caught nearly 7 times over the legal limit at Windvale. Patrols tried to pull over a Holden sedan on Park Lane Drive last night, but the driver took off at speed. Rather than follow the car, officers headed to the registered owner's address and found the car and the alleged driver. The 39-year-old P-plater allegedly blew .342 and will face court at a later date. And a West Beach man is off to court today charged with illegal use of a motor vehicle. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says it relates to a car which was stolen from Lockleys on the weekend.
Last night, a man called police after spotting his stolen grey Volkswagen Amarok near Bird Bridge Road. So a person was seen unloading items from the car, which was also displaying different number plates.
More than 11 million workers will be given access to 10 days paid family and domestic violence leave under new legislation being introduced to Parliament today. The federal government seeking to amend the Fair Work Act to ensure people are equipped with the financial security to leave a violent situation. ACTU President Michelle O'Neill says victims will no longer need to choose between their job or their safety.
This is such an historic win for union members who for years, more than a decade, have campaigned for 10 days paid family and domestic violence leave. It will literally save lives.
A visa pathway program with Ukraine is being extended. From next week, Ukrainian nationals can apply for a bridging visa, which gives them full working rights for up to 12 months. More than 8,600 visas have been granted since February. US President Joe Biden has returned to public duties and is back at work in the Oval Office after recovering from COVID. More from Amelia Adams.
President Biden testing negative to COVID this morning after isolating for 5 days. Warning the new BA.5 variant is highly contagious, he urged Americans to get vaccinated and boosted and praised the antiviral treatment which kept his symptoms mild.
When my predecessor got COVID, he had to get helicoptered to Walter Reed Medical Center. He was severely ill. Thankfully, he recovered. When I got COVID, I worked from upstairs of the White House.
There are currently around 130,000 new COVID cases diagnosed in America each day. Hospitalisations and deaths from the virus are also rising slightly.
Turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Anticipation is building for the start of the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, with Australia's opening ceremony flag bearers revealed. Kookaburra's co-captain Eddie Ockenden and six-time squash representative Rachel Grinham have been given the honour. Ockenden says he's still coming to terms with being handed the honour.
Well, a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest. It's obviously a very huge honour and very appreciative of everything. And it's something that I think I'll look back on later.
Yeah, great stuff. To football, and it is selection night for the Crows and Port Adelaide ahead of their matches on the weekend. Much intrigue surrounds the future of Matt Crouch, who trained with the squad last night, as the Crows prepare to take on Carlton at home on Saturday night. To cricket, and all-rounder Moeen Ali has blasted the quickest half-century ever for England to help them to a 41-run win against South Africa in Bristol. The home side smashing 6 for 234 from their 20 overs. Ali bringing up his 50 with his 6th six.
And just enough gives Moeen Ali England's fastest 50 in T20 internationals. 16 balls and he moves to 52.
Yeah, great effort, that audio there, thanks to Fox. The Proteas gave the run chase a real crack, but ultimately fell 41 runs short. Meantime, India has beaten the West Indies by 119 runs in their rain-affected ODI in the port of Spain. And Sri Lanka will be pushing hard for a win with a day to play in their test match against Pakistan in Galle. Pakistan to start the final day at 1 for 89, still needing 419 runs to win. To soccer, and Germany will play against England in the Women's Euro final after recording a 2-1 win against France this morning. And round 20 of the NRL will get underway tonight, with Manly taking on the Sydney Roosters. 7 Sea Eagles players have ruled themselves out of the match due to the club's decision to wear a Pride Guernsey. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Kidman Park, look out for gasworks. That's Findon Road near Grange Road. It's down at 25 k's in both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. At McGill, you'll find intersection upgrade works there, McGill Road near St Bernard's Road. And we're getting busy at the moment, Brighton Road at Glenelg South. Cameras, Bundy's Road, North Adelaide, and Kennahan's Road at Happy Valley. Bob Jane T-Marts look after you. Buy 3, get 1 free, plus instant cash back on top tyre brands. Call or order online today. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
3 out of 4 people never hear back from interviews. Shouldn't people matter more than that? Zoom Recruitment.
A shower or two and 14 today, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16. A late shower or two for Saturday, 17. And showers on Sunday, 15. At the moment, 7. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 after 8, breaking at 8 coming up in just a moment. Tom Duday's not too far away. We'll be speaking with Dr. Carl of Neighbours fame as well, Alan Fletcher, after 8:30 today. I recorded a chat with him whilst you were still in ISO, David, ahead of the finale tonight.
A pre-record,
as
they call it in the industry.
Exactly right. I had a chat with him earlier, and we'll play it after 8:30 today. And a really fascinating guy, quite funny as well. So that's coming up in just a moment. But of course, at the moment, our focus is very much on the kettle.
Thanks to Smeg, it's time for the dish that defines your suburb.
Building or renovating, your first choice should be visiting the Smeg showroom at Debney Distributors. Taste the difference with Smeg. The suburb in focus today is Kilkenny.
Kilkenny. The dish is the banh mi. For those not in the know, the banh mi is the traditional Vietnamese lunch roll, which contains either chicken or roast pork, and traditionally is served with grated carrot, grated daikon, which is that white radish, and coriander, bit of vinegar,
Fish
bit of
paste.
chilli. Yeah, yep. Bit of fish sauce on it. Superb. Great balance of flavours.
Dish that defines Kilkenny. Let's go to Mitchell Park. Tina, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome back, David.
Thank you, Tina. Good to hear your voice again.
No problem. Yeah, look, I'm with you on this one as well. I'm definitely the banh mi with chicken, chili, and extra coriander.
Oh, yum.
All right, Tina, thank you.
Very
Vote
healthy
for
meal.
the banh mi.
Do you like them?
I love them.
They're great, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really good.
They're cheap.
There's a wide variety in.
Like $5.
I reckon the best are amazing and the worst are not great. I think there's a variance.
Yeah. I haven't had too many shockers.
No, they're never shocking because it's just a good combination of stuff.
What's your favourite spot?
But the best,
to get them?
Roll on Bow was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. In fact, that got a lot of nominations from our listeners,
Yeah,
I reckon.
It's actually pretty close to me.
My favourite's Vietnamese Laundry in Whitmore Square. The other thing they make there is passion fruit iced tea. Excellent.
Oh, really?
Homemade passion fruit iced tea.
I have to try that at some point. All right, let's go breaking it out.
Been talking again to Keith Woodford, who was obviously the widow of Gail Woodford, the nurse who was murdered while working in the AP Wirelands. Now, a couple of days ago, we covered the story of the Mansfield review into the handling of the case by SafeWork SA. There's been some qualified wins for the family out of this, chief among them, and credit to Attorney General Kyan Ma for going through with this inquiry. One of the main recommendations is that they're going to change the law so that the Work Health and Safety Act, when in the terrible instance when somebody is killed while at work, the sort of confidentiality provision surrounding the investigations by SafeWork SA are going to be abandoned, which means that families will be given much greater clarity in future about where things actually stand, and there'll also be a removal of the 12-month sort of time limit on how these investigations get handled, provided the families of those who die lodge some sort of or start the legal process with a view to continuing the investigations. But Keith's got some other concerns that go more broadly to the way this whole case has been handled. He's provided me with this statement. It says, WorkSafe SA will try to say the Mansfield Review is a vindication of its handling of the Woodford case. It is not. Rather, it is a demonstration of a failure of government in the form of that agency. He says it is important to remember this. The sentencing judge, Her Honour Justice Vanstone, found beyond reasonable doubt that the murderer had gone to the nurse's house with the intention to attack the nurse. He went with this intent knowing she would be alone due to the way the nursing services were arranged by the employer. That fact gave him the critical opportunity. This finding precludes any reasonable possibility the employer was not to blame for her death, and the coroner reached the same conclusion. Gail died because of the recalcitrance of her employer, and the community will be rightly outraged that the employer got away with it. What is needed is effective legislation and a committed agency. That is the lesson of Gail's death. It's a toughening of Keith's original position on Monday when he first saw the report, and it's something that I know his lawyers are looking at, and they may yet end up arguing that the government still needs to do more to provide greater protections for people who are doing nothing other than their jobs, trying to look after people, and end up paying the ultimate price for it, as Gail did.
13 minutes after 8, Tom Duday coming up in just a moment. Yesterday, the Australian Bureau of Statistics released the CPI figures, which is all the inflation data that you saw on your news services and elsewhere across the day yesterday, headlined by the fact that to the June quarter, inflation's at 6.1%. By way of comparison, Australia at the moment, we're at 6.1. New Zealand, 7.3 to the June quarter. That's a 32-year high. Ours is a 21-year high. The UK and the US, over 9%. Up to June. Around Europe, it's just under 9% at the moment. So relatively speaking, we're doing okay. But your hip pocket doesn't benefit from doing better relatively to other places in the world. It's still squeezing, it's still hurting, and there's still going to be pain to come. That was Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer's message yesterday. Today, he's delivering a ministerial statement to the federal parliament. He says he wants to speak directly to Australians about the challenges that lie ahead and what's next. He gave something of a preview and spoke a little bit on Sunrise just a few moments ago.
In releasing a whole bunch of figures and forecasts about our expectation for the economy is to bring Australians into our confidence about how we see the economic challenges and opportunities ahead as we frame this budget for October. We expect inflation north of 7% by the end of the year, but then we expect it to moderate after that. But there will be a difficult period ahead for many Australians as we try and deal together with these pretty extreme cost of living pressures.
So federally, it's going to be, again, the Australian economy that will feature, and you'll hear more about that over the course of 5AA during the day, following the statement made by the Treasurer. Let's talk about the fuel situation for just a moment. We'll do Fuel Watch thanks to the excellent people at the MyRA app, which is easy to find. You'll find it in the App Store. It's absolutely free, and it's well worth your time to have a look at. Here's the cheapest we've managed to find fuel this morning. The Ampol Grand Junction Road, Gillis Plains, $1.52.9. The Ampol Marion Road, West Richmond, $1.51.9. Getting close to $1.50, which is interesting. The OTR Blair Road, Kingswood, $1.51.9. And diesel has finally fallen below the $2 mark. Silver's Auto Centre, Gilbert Street, we've found it for $1.99.9. It too is the subject of a call from the RAA, who are saying it's time for diesel to come down. The average Adelaide wholesale cost of diesel of unleaded has fallen 41.3 cents a litre in the past month, so 41 cents. Diesel pump prices have decreased by just 20.9. Now, the RAA have previously said there's a lag because diesel contracts are signed for a longer term, but now they're saying there needs to be a cut. It's beyond 100%. The pale.
A mate of mine, Scott, who drives trucks, does deliveries. He's texting me once a week about diesel prices. He texted me the other day too. He was saying diesel is cheaper on York Peninsula at the moment than it is in the city.
Bizarre.
See, there's stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that excellent video that the angry fruiterer made about how some people are just using the current sort of cost of living story as a bit of a foil for profiteering. I've got no doubt that some of the fuel companies are doing that with diesel.
RAA say by their calculation should be about $1.86, $1.85 point right, not $1.99 as the cheapest we managed to find it.
It provides a corporate excuse for oil companies where they can go, Ukraine. Oh yeah, right. Okay.
How do you argue that? Let's check traffic, then Tom Duday is going to be in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. Discover Bloom at Glenside, prestige apartments for discerning boomers. Register at bloomglenside.com.au.
Thanks, Will. The road's working pretty well for the driving today. Shouldn't have too many hassles. Simply some roadworks to look out for. At Woodville, works along Port Road heading inbound, causing a few delays at the moment. That's near Cheltenham Parade. Kidman Park, gasworks there. Findon Road near Grange Road down to 25 k's. And in the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. Free delivery on KFC's Christmas in July. Feast, slay what? Only on the KFC app. Not everywhere, not forever. Offer waives the $8.95 delivery fee only, peeps. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
I feel like I've been counting sheep all night.
Sounds like you need circadian.
Don't you mean circadian rhythm?
No, circadian. It's prolonged release melatonin and it helps improve sleep quality.
Circadian?
Yeah, circadian. You can ask your doctor or your pharmacist if it's right for you.
Thinking melatonin? Think circadian. Sleep better, live better. Visit circadian.com.au for more tips on sleep. For people 55 years or older, ask your pharmacist about this product.
Patience pays off, especially if you've been holding out for a great deal on a new Volkswagen. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is now receiving truckloads of new Volkswagens. Yes, they're coming. And they're available at amazing prices. Remember Mawson Lakes Volkswagen for servicing too, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Get a great deal on Volkswagen now. Don't dilly-dally, dawdle or delay. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Where can you smash a snowball and win your share in $10,000? Sky City. Where else? Simply collect your wristband from 6 p.m. each Saturday night and place your wristband stub in the winter barrel. There's free draws every Saturday. And if your entry is drawn, you can smash your way to cash and win a share in $10,000. Entry is free, but you've got to be there to smash for cash.
Sky City Warehouse.
T's and C's apply. Visit skycityadelaide.com.au for details. Licence number T22/758.
Have you recently been sent a free bowel screening test kit in the blue and white package? Well, this is it's a special reminder to do the test this morning. Don't put it off any longer. When you've got to go, close the bathroom door and do the test. It's clean and simple and will only take a couple of minutes. Don't put off the chance to save your life. Take your kit to your bathroom and get to it.
Hi, Shayna Blaze here. As a designer, I know how tricky it can be to design the perfect bathroom. So I teamed up with Beaumont Tiles and created complete bathroom packages. Drop into Beaumont's for complete bathroom packages designed by me.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
Minutes after 8.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Thanks to Leader Computers, Australia's largest Australian-owned PC manufacturer. They're based right here in Adelaide, like our next guest is. Tom Duday. Dude, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are we going?
We're good, thanks, Tom. Now, I think the last time we caught up, which is quite a few weeks ago now because of COVID and everything else, I was jokingly saying that every time you come into the studio and we always shake hands, I'm always a bit nervous because more often than not, you got a splint, you got a bandage, you got a piece of balsa wood there tying two of your fingers together. But it sounds like you've sort of got to the point, we were just chatting off air, that you are so banged up that you're not going to be out there on the park this weekend.
Yeah. I chatted to Nixie yesterday, and I didn't have much of a run around at training. I've pretty much had stuff going on for about 6 to 8 weeks in terms of my body, and I've just been trying to grit through it. But we got to a point where form was sort of up and down. Body was continuing to get injured, whether it was shoulder to start with and then fingers, ribs and stuff. It just kept compounding to a point where I wasn't able to consistently train throughout the week and wasn't able to play at the level that I want to play at. So, yeah, we're just...
So was that finger coming in and out last weekend when you were playing against the Pies?
Yeah, so it popped out about like 3 or 4 times in the game, the finger. And then I got like drilled in, ribs hurting, and then some hammy stuff, some shoulder stuff. It's all just like the stuff that usually goes on throughout a year and you can deal with individually, but this year, unfortunately, they've all compounded together at the one time. And
you haven't missed a game all year, have you?
Nah. So that's part of it, is it's sort of been a grit and grind sort of session, and I've gotten through most of the year I've been fine, and I feel like I've played some good footy at times, but I think for me to be at my best and help the team the way that I need to, I just haven't been able to get in the work that I should be, and to get back to that, I just need to sort of have a week off and get the body right.
Interesting as you talk about some of those injuries, and I think shoulder, ribs, finger, and I think of you at your absolute best playing footy, it's coming across, taking intercept marks, intercept possessions, cutting stuff off, and putting your body into pretty dangerous spots. I can't imagine a trio of things that make that more difficult to do at the moment than what you're sort of suffering with.
Yeah, and you get with the finger stuff, you get like ground balls, and you just a touch throughout the week. Like you can't do as many drills in terms of that ability to be clean. And then obviously I got to be physical in my position too. I'm playing on a lot of bigger bodies, so I've got to be.
Well, you spent a lot of time sort of catching up with Lance Franklin last week.
Yeah, I've chatted to Buddy a little
I was actually looking at. Did you get to chat to him much? Because that guy just. I know you're an elite athlete and you're out there playing, but standing next to that bloke must be something else. Like,
I was a Hawthorn man growing up too, so I was like enamoured by him. When I played on him the first time in 2018, I was just blown away. I was like, holy...
Did you get his autograph?
No, I just made sure I shook his hand after the game and just said, "G'day, buddy, how are you?" But no, he was joking about how he was making Nick Murray cramp, and he's 35. Like, I'm 35, I'm still making young blokes cramp. And, the ball got switched at one stage, and he's yelling, "Spread, spread!" But he was walking. I was like, "Does that not apply to you?" And he goes, "Nope." He does what he wants. But,
That's excellent.
But yeah, so he was great value to play on. But yeah, no, it's all good. It's not something that's not I'm not dropped, or it's not something that was specifically made by the coaching staff. It was sort of I needed a push because I just put the blinders on and just said I'm just going to keep playing because that's what you do at this level. You grit through injuries, and I sort of needed that push to say, mate, just take the week off and get your body right so you can have a good run home.
And you think it'll be just a week?
I'm hoping so. We're not going to put a timeline on it just because of the stuff that's going on isn't necessarily, you'll be good in 1 week, or here's the scan revealed this, so have this. It's just sort of a bit ambiguous at the moment.
What did you make of the Sydney game? It felt a bit Hawthornish, didn't it, with that first quarter?
Yeah, it was. We and very similar teams in the way that they score and how offensively dangerous they can be, and we come in with the exact same game plan that worked in quarters 2 to 4 in both games, but for some reason we just took that little bit longer to start it, and it was frustrating, and we were pretty grumpy in the sense that we watched the rest of the game. We win that game if we play the way we know we can for those 2 or 3 quarters in the end. But unfortunately, when you give up 9 goals in the first term, it's pretty hard to come back from, and in the AFL, and an insurmountable lead of that margin.
Hey, Tom, you had a concussion earlier this year. In fact, around the same time, you very kindly helped my son out with his research project, which
I
is
hope
about...
that didn't impede on his...
Mate, I already texted you about
some of the
that.
weirdest responses.
He's done very well. He put a lot of work into it, but you helped him with the interview. But I don't know if you've had a chance to see this absolutely remarkable and I think really sad and moving story today in the Tizer, and they've done a big do-up on it on pages 6 and 7 about Jade Schultz, who obviously was a Port Adelaide legend, getting on for 15 odd years ago, but the extent to which this guy's life has been well, largely ruined by anger, anxiety, depression, all of it stemming from concussion. Do you reckon there still needs to be more done about this? Because hearing the way this poor bloke's life has been upended, it's bloody terrible.
Yeah, it's a hard one because when you're in the industry, your mindset is I want to play games, and if a concussion's forcing you to miss 2 or 3 games, and you're a fringe player, then that could be the end of your career. So you in your mind, you're not thinking long term. You're thinking now I want to be playing, and I'm sure there would have been times where he was playing through concussion or didn't report any sort of head knock or anything because he wanted to keep playing, and you have to have some form of looking into the future, and you want to be able to kick the footy with your kids when you're 40 or 50, or be yourself when you're that old. But yeah, it's very hard in the moment to say, well, I'm just gonna put that to the side and play, or I'm just gonna look after my health long term. It's a hard decision to make when you're in the moment. But yeah, it is sad, that stuff. I follow a lot of NFL obviously, and there's huge amounts of that over there, and it's not when you get a concussion, it's definitely in the back of your mind now, whereas it used to be just, I'll be right, it's a ding on the head, I'll keep going. Now it's a bit more, hang on, I've got to look after
myself. It almost
myself.
feels like, I mean, in a way, the same conversation we're having about your finger. Like, if my finger had popped out 4 times while I was in the garden for 3 hours, I'd probably not garden for the next month.
Yep.
But the mentality of sport is, so this finger keeps popping out.
Yeah,
how do we keep jamming it back in?
And go, I was like running back to goal. Like my bloke was like running in front of me, and I'm like, I've got to get to him as I'm popping my finger in like that. But that's not. I'm not claiming I'm tough or anything. That's just the mentality of an AFL footballer.
But I guess in the concussion space, historically, like the philosophy that still relates to the finger used to relate to the human mind in a way, didn't it?
Yeah, and you only get one brain. Like I can deal with a sore finger, and
you got 9 others.
Yeah, I've got 9 others, and you can get surgery and all that sort of stuff. You can fix them up, but the brain's it's not going anywhere. And if you damage that to a point where it's irreparable, you're in some strife.
Well, get well.
Thank you.
Well. You're gonna have official duties in the game. You're gonna be going.
Yeah, potentially. I might go up into the coach's box and just hurl abuse
Sort them
at
out.
the players. That's what I was thinking. Not the coaches.
Go full David Noble on them.
Yeah, I'll go full coach mode and just hurl abuse and just, you're not good enough.
What are you thinking?
It's so easy from up here. Why didn't you hit that kick? Because that's what coaches are for, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Back in my day, I would have hit that.
Into the conversation. We're missing a dude-ish kind of back.
Yeah, geez, we're getting exploited at the back. We need an intercept bloke to come down. Oh, geez, Kerno's kicked 5 in the first quarter. I wish we had it there. That sort of stuff.
It's not just coaches; it's media pundits as well.
Oh, don't get me started.
Soft-handed people like me. They go, "What are they thinking? Come on!"
Yeah, well, it's
Get
all
into
the
it.
blokes, all the blokes calling the game too.
Oh, they're the worst.
shocking.
Hey,
Horrible.
I
those
just call
blokes.
it straight, dude. You drop a mark, and that's just what I say. You take a great one, and
I think he's hinting at something there. I needed the week off.
no, not at all.
I reckon my theory is you're not playing because of the emotional come down from Mark of the Year. It's been a big couple of weeks.
Yeah, true. It's got to me too.
I think it makes the legend of the mark even better. He did failing body. He managed to just elevate this rickety bunch of goons up.
Can we not go down this path again? Let's
Dude,
move on.
Get well.
Appreciate it.
Look after
Leader
yourself, mate.
Computers, Australia's largest Australian-owned PC manufacturer, based right here in Adelaide.
If you're building a home, the Selector Homes Display Village is a great place to start. Your ideas and imagination will flow. There's nothing else quite like it in Adelaide. Different homes for different lifestyles, all in the one location. Walk through the sanctuary. It's simply stunning, with an incredible Jarrah facade, polished concrete floors, and a sensational use of space. Explore the Selector Homes and Building Solutions Display Village, Port Wakefield Road, Burton. Visit selectorhomes.com.au.
Hi, Susanna Toop here from Toop and Toop. 21. That's the number of pieces of legislation your property manager must know to effectively manage your home. And non-compliance can impact on your insurance. Who are you trusting to look after your biggest investment? Toop.com.au.
Get saving this month at City Discount Tyres when you buy 3 Falcon Zeeks ZE914 car tyres. You get the 4th tyre free, and this is the perfect tyre for cost saving, fuel efficiency and performance.
Quality tyre. The Falcon Zeeks has a bunch of features. Asymmetric tread pattern. And see, I remember a bit of this, Will, from my days working down at Ampol, because I was going to do
Big tyre guy.
I was actually going to do a apprenticeship. Doing wheel balancing back in the days when you had to tap the weights on with a little hammer.
You could have been in the Formula 1 instead of practice. Right, yeah.
I'll be a bit slow in the pits. But look, back to the Falcon Zeeks. It's got a bunch of features. Asymmetric tread pattern with 4 straight and wide circumferential grooves. What does that mean? Well, it means it improves hydroplane resistance, plus high rigidity rib construction, providing good wet and dry braking stability. That's what you want in a tyre, Will.
You've always said that. City Discount Tyres are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. These guys are the best in the business. They're awesome. Buy 3 Falcon Zeeks car tyres. You get the 4th one free. It's the perfect tyre for everything you want a tyre to do, essentially.
That's right. Visit the excellent people at citydiscounttyres.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tyres, driven by value.
Hey, it's Callum here. Looking for something small, medium or large? Edwardstown Mazda have most models in stock, ready to drive away. You can feel confident in the team at Edwardstown Mazda.
It's gotta be.
edwardstownmazda.com.au, LNVD 207428.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 14 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Looking for the perfect winter exercise? Physio Extra offers clinical Pilates at 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
A P-plater's been caught nearly 7 times over the legal alcohol limit at Windvale. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says they spotted him on Park Lake Drive last night.
So the driver, who is actually a provisional licence holder, was breath tested and produced a blood alcohol reading of 0.342. So a 39-year-old man from Windvale has been reported for failing to stop drink driving and breaching his licence conditions, and he's going to go to court at a later date.
Rising interest rates are expected to impact on property prices over the next year. Regional SA has enjoyed the nation's biggest spike in buyers in the past 12 months, but PropTrack's Cameron Cusher says it's unlikely to continue.
Conditions are changing. There's not as much of an impetus for people to move out of the capital cities as there used to be, and we expect that demand for properties regionally is going to slow, and that's going to start to lead to price falls across most regional markets of the country, especially as interest rates continue to rise at a rapid pace.
The US Central Bank has raised its interest rates by 0.75%. The Federal Reserve is hoping to combat the country's highest inflation since the 1980s. Ongoing increases could lie ahead as the risk of recession intensifies. Labor will deliver an economic update today which will suggest the Australian economy is slowing. More from Michael Packey in Canberra.
Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers will hand down his economic statement, which comes ahead of the October budget.
Dr Chalmers will say the uncertainty facing Australia and the globe will cut growth by 0.5% for the financial year just gone, the one coming up and one after that. New government analysis shows the economy probably grew 3.75% in 21-22. That's down from just over 4% estimated before the election. Despite the headwinds, Labor believes it can steer the country through the challenges.
And Labor's seeking to increase assistance for victims of family and domestic violence. A bill to provide 10 days of paid domestic violence leave will be introduced today. Workers are currently eligible for 5 days unpaid under the Fair Work Act. An Australian mountaineer has died on the world's second highest peak, K2. Matthew Eakin from Sydney and a Canadian climber vanished while climbing the mountain last week. The discovery of their bodies has been confirmed at the K2 base camp. In Alaska, 4 children are dead after a 15-year-old shot 3 siblings before taking his own life. It's understood 3 other children in the home were not injured. Local police say the parents weren't home at the time of the shooting. More than 500 people are expected to rally on the lawns of federal parliament to demand freedom for Julian Assange. The Australian WikiLeaks co-founder is fighting extradition to the US on spying charges. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has refused to intervene. Amnesty International's Christian Fournier says urgent actions needed.
We think that it's a work in progress. It's been a very, very challenging case so far. So it is an exciting day. Hopefully that's going to lead to the outcomes which we hope that every lover of human rights is going to expect.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
New Mitsubishi Triton with 10-year warranty, 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide defender Tom Jade won't play this weekend with the heavy toll of the season forcing him to pull out of Saturday night's match against Carlton. Jade has played every game this year but told David and Will the wear and tear on his body has taken its toll.
Pretty much had stuff going on for about 6 to 8 weeks in terms of my body, and I've just been trying to grit through it, but we got to a point where form was sort of up and down, body was continuing to get injured, whether it was shoulder to start with and then fingers, ribs and stuff. It just kept compounding to a point where I wasn't able to consistently train throughout the week and wasn't able to play at the level that I want to play at.
Australian pole vaulter Nina Kennedy is confident she can feature in the medals at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, which get underway tomorrow. The 25-year-old's in good form, winning bronze at last week's World Athletics Championships. Kennedy says finishing third was a great result after nearly crashing out in the first round with 2 missed attempts.
I get so nervous that my brain kind of just switches off and stops working. It took me a few attempts to kind of make my way into the competition, let the nerves settle. And then on that third attempt, I was like, okay, you got to clear this now. So I kind of just kicked in and then first attempts for all the other heights after that.
Meantime, Australia has announced it will have dual flag bearers with Rachel Grinham from the squash world and Eddie Ockenden, the hockey-roo, to carry the flag together at the opening ceremony. Aaron Baines will reportedly resume his basketball career with the Brisbane Bullets in the NBL, but with a release clause should he secure a return to the NBA. He hasn't played since his freak fall at the Olympics. To soccer, the Brisbane Roar has defeated Heidelberg 3-1 last night in their Australia Cup clash. Meantime, Germany is through to the final of the Euro soccer tournament following a 2-1 win against France. They'll now play England in the final. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
At Vale Park, reports of a smash at Ascot Avenue at Harris Road. At Kidman Park, gasworks there, Findon Road near Grange Road. It's down to 25 k's in both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. And we're busy right now, Brighton Road at Glenelg South. Cameras, Bundy's Road, North Adelaide and Glenburn Road at Burnside. It's the final week of Amart's winter warm-up sale. Stay cosy and style with up to 50% off a huge range. Hurry, offers end soon at Amart's. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
3 out of 4 people never hear back from interviews. Shouldn't people matter more than that? Zoom Recruitment.
A shower or two today, 14 the top, partly cloudy tomorrow, 16. A late shower or two Saturday, 17, and then showers for Sunday, 15. At the moment, 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide tech guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Once upon a time, laptops were assumed to have less features than their desktop counterparts. Now, it's laptops like the HP Pavilion series that are stealing all the thunder. The HP Pavilion X360 is a two-in-one device, meaning it can be a laptop or it can fold into a touchscreen device. Streaming movies and TV, keeping in touch with video calls and generally getting things done is way more fun on an X360. Not only can you bend and flip with its 360-degree hinge, but it is also built for a marathon with long-lasting battery life. Equipped with an Intel i3, 8GB of RAM and a 256GB solid-state drive, it's the perfect computer for work, school or university. Get into your local Harvey Norman store now and grab the HP Pavilion X360 for only $898.
Check out this great offer at 5AA.com.au. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
That's when good neighbours become good.
Well, in the context of a conversation about Neighbours and its finale this week, my next guest needs no introduction whatsoever because Alan Fletcher is Carl Kennedy and joins me now on 5AA Breakfast. Alan, good morning to you.
G'day, Will. Great to speak to you.
I want to ask you about something because I know Wikipedia is not always a great source, but it describes you as the third longest serving actor in an Australian television serial. Do you have any reason to believe that's inaccurate?
I believe it's true, but I tell you, it's a pity. It's a slightly pedantic point because the beautiful Jackie Woodburn, who plays Susan Kennedy, is in fact only behind me by 1 week. So
is that right?
It's a bit pedantic. I'd like to think that Jackie and I hold that mantle equally. Yes, there's a couple of that. Linda Granger and Ray Maher in Home and Away have been in their shows for longer.
Before we talk about the end, I want to talk about your start with Neighbours too, because I'm not sure necessarily many people know that your time with Neighbours actually predates Carl Kennedy.
Indeed, I started in 1987 for 3 weeks playing a little character called Greg Cooper, who's a mechanic who came in to basically supervise the luminous Kylie Minogue at the time, who was the apprentice. And I had a marvellous 3 weeks working on the show. They did actually invite me to come back and continue the character on for a year, but I was busy doing Shakespeare at the time at the Melbourne Theatre Company, so I chose that over to Neighbours, and rather glad I did because, of course, the opportunity to play Dr. Carl came along 7 years later.
Did they reach out to you for Carl Kennedy, or did you audition as though you hadn't had a previous sort of association with the show?
Well, I auditioned for Neighbours without any pre-association, but I had just come off the back of 3 years working on another Grundy television production called Embassy. So the casting agent, the wonderful Jan Russ, who was responsible for finding some of Neighbours' biggest talents, she was well aware of me and she invited me to audition. But I auditioned alongside a bunch of other people. So, it was I had to show my chops, and I was lucky enough to get the role.
So you're at this unique company then, having occupied this character for... What are we at now? 28 years?
28 years, yeah.
28 years. It's the cliche question to ask where he stops and you start, but you've lived a role like very few people anywhere in the world have. What's it like to have that coming to an end?
Oh, it's pretty extraordinary. Although for me, I don't feel it's not completely coming to an end because I do have a Dr. Carl in Conversation show, which has been cancelled now for 3 years, of course, because of COVID.
Yes.
So I'm actually finally getting to do that in the UK and hopefully here in Australia as well. So there's a bit of Dr. Carl will live on. There's a huge Neighbours farewell tour in the UK with some plans for hopefully some Australian dates too. So there's plenty of opportunities for us to celebrate Neighbours after it finishes and for the audience to celebrate with us. So, there'll always be a little bit of Dr. Carl in my life, I reckon.
Just wondering, over the time of your time in the show and thinking about the luminaries that are coming back to be part of the finale, have you worked with them all? Everyone from Kylie Minogue to who you mentioned, to Margot Robbie and others that are going to be part of it. Is there anyone whose era you missed?
I don't know that there is, actually, because there are some people whose era I missed, but they returned and did cameos while I was still there. And this is a hallmark of Neighbours. So many actors who worked on the show, no matter how famous they become, they showed an absolute determination and desire to return at the end, because they realised that they owe Neighbours such a huge debt of gratitude for what it did for them, and all of them to a person said that. And I think that's a beautiful thing when you think about it, that so many people who have moved on to incredible careers would sit back and say, I still want to come back and do something to pay tribute to Neighbours, which is that's a reason enough to watch it, if for nothing else.
That's a sign too that it must have been a great, incredibly fun place to work. And people obviously have real fondness for the set and the production.
Oh, I can't begin to tell you how much fun it was. I mean, it was like I always say to people, no matter what was going on in my life, there could be some moments where I'm feeling a bit low or whatever, and life's a bit tough. The moment I got to Neighbours and got out of my car and walked into that green room full of fellow actors and crew who just, had enormous affection for each other and cared for each other, all burdens were lifted off your shoulder. Just had marvellous time every day you go to work, you'd have a laugh, and we just loved making our show because we knew, we were so aware of how much it meant to so many people.
Well, it meant to a lot of people on the other side of the globe as well. Of course, the show just massive in the United Kingdom. What's it like being on an Australian TV show that's perhaps just as, or maybe even more popular halfway around the world?
It is quite extraordinary. I remember being recognised in a Belgian post office where I was buying stamps, and I goes, "Oh, yeah, I don't know you. You're Dr. Carl." I was recognised in southern India at a temple complex, and it's kind of glorious, really, because it's a gentle level of fame. I mean, there's some people who, of course, are so famous they can't really leave their house. Whereas I'm able to wander the world and have a marvellous time with people. They just want to come up and say hi. They just want to say hi. Love your show. Thanks so much. Do you mind if I get a photo? So it's an enormous pleasure because your work's being acknowledged. So I think you'd agree, Will, that all we really hope for is that our work is in some way acknowledged.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was it like when you got the news that it was official, that it was coming to an end this year?
Well, I feared that things were looking a little shaky prior to the announcement. So, and I've been on a 1-year contract for 28 years. So every year, the show could have ended for me. So you kind of, as an actor, you steel yourself for that possibility that the show, might end, or your part on it could end. But that didn't take away from the fact that it was a terrible shock for us, in the sense of everybody losing their job at once. 200 people, thrown out of work, and it was pretty tough for us for a while there. But what we did was we picked ourselves up very quickly and just said, okay, that's it. It is over. We recognise that. Now it's time to get on and really make the best possible show we can. Really bring it home for what basically people are going to see tonight is the culmination of 37 years of television history.
And what's the plan for you guys watching it? Is there a watch party for cast and crew, or do you do it your own?
Yes, no, we've a whole bunch of cast again coming together to watch the show, which is only fitting. And I'm really looking forward to it because there's so much about the last hour and a half of this show I don't know. I seriously made sure I didn't read scripts or try and see any rushes. I just did my bits, and I'm dying to see what everybody else is doing and really get a sense of exactly what the drama was at the end and see the celebration. So pretty special. I think it's going to be a very, very special night.
Absolutely. And what you mentioned that Dr. Carl will live on. What next for you, though? Because then I imagine what's been a daily schedule for 28 years is coming to an end. You're going to have some free time. What are you planning?
Well, I'm pretty busy. I started writing and recording Americana country music about 18 months ago, and recently released my first EP, a 5-song EP. We're still in the studio preparing the album for the end of the year. I'm touring that music in the UK and Australia, and I've got Tamworth Country Music Festival next year to look forward to, where I'll be premiering the album there as well. So exciting times ahead. And I promised myself that I will actually get out and hit a few golf balls.
That'd be nice. See, there's some perks. Hey, enjoy the watch show tonight, Alan. Have a great night with everyone. You guys deserve it. Been on screens for so many years in this country and around the world, and you've done such a wonderful job. So have a great evening and enjoy hitting those golf balls in the days to come.
You bet. Thanks so much.
That's Alan Fletcher I caught up with when David was off with battling COVID, or having battled and won against COVID.
Beautifully done, Will.
Hey,
getting a lot of emotional feedback too about the demise of Neighbours. Nick on the Automasters text line says, "Hey guys, I'm a 53-year-old male. I've been watching Neighbours for 30 years. Absolutely devastated it's finishing."
Might be some out-of-work actors following the end of Neighbours. If they're looking for a gig, they might try being a Santa Claus. Our next guest is Lindsay Walker, the General Manager of Seen to Believe, because there's a shortage of Santas, Lindsay. What's happening?
There is. We need Santas everywhere throughout Australia, including across all of Adelaide, to spread magic and joy in shopping centres this year.
So what's the reason behind the shortage, do you think, Lindsay?
Well, look, it's a popular experience. There's always people who want to come and see Santa and give him their wish list. After the last couple of years we've had, it's more important than ever for that magic to happen. So, yeah, we're just seeing a high demand for helpers everywhere.
What do you need what are your qualifications, and where do you send your CV?
Oh, look, it's super easy. We just need someone who has a love of Christmas and a positive, friendly personality, and then we can do the rest. We provide full training, amazing suits. It's got a great hourly pay, and there's a really supportive community all year round that the helpers can join. And if they're interested, all they need to do is get in touch with us at Seen to Believe on our website, which is www.seentobelieve.com.au.
Do you need to be portly?
No, we can provide bellies, wigs, beards, so yeah,
pillows,
all shapes and sizes.
Oh, that's good news.
And how many do you need? How many Father Christmases short are you?
Oh, we would never turn anyone away. We could take as many as there are out there. So there's always going to be a spot for someone who wants to spread magic.
See, this is what record unemployment looks like.
Well, exactly.
We have no Santas. Exactly right. Good on you, Lindsay. Thank you. Seen to Believe is where you need to apply if you want to become a Santa, and there is a Santa shortage at the moment. Thank you for that, Lindsay. All right, let's check traffic. Thanks to the excellent Bloom at Glenside. Prestige Apartments for discerning boomers. Register at bloomglenside.com.au.
Thanks, Will. Roads working pretty well this morning. Simply some roadworks to look out for. At Kidman Park, you find gasworks there. Findon Road, Nick Range Road, it's down to 25 k's in both directions. In the Parklands, Rundle Road is closed between East Terrace and Kettleville Terrace for the Illuminate Festival. McGill intersection upgrade works there. McGill Road near St Bernard's Road. And we're busy right now, Portrush Road at Linden Park. Cameras, Bartels Road in the city, and Hub Drive at Aberfoyle Park. Order your See Coffee on the OTR app and enjoy freshly ground barista-made coffee. It's as easy as click and collect. OTR. Making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Great news for people on the move. Budget Car and Truck Rental have a new location just north of the city at 354 North East Road, Clemzig. Open 7 days a week. So, if you're moving out or in, taking a load to the tip, or going on a big trip, you can do it all with Budget Car and Truck Rental. 7 metro locations, including their new site at Clemzig. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive Officer of Western Hospital at Henley Beach. Did you know that Western Hospital specialists are some of the most experienced in South Australia? We've handpicked our surgeons and physicians to ensure you are cared for in a compassionate and trusted environment. Your health is our priority as we provide care in our one-stop healthcare hub. For more information on our specialist team of surgeons and physicians, visit westernhospital.com.au. Your hospital that cares.
Waiting for your dream car can be frustrating. And look, if you've been out trying to buy a car at the moment, you'll know the wait has never been longer. Well, that's all changed at Mawson Lakes Mazda. The fresh new batch has just arrived. The truck's full of cars started rolling in last week.
This is quite the coup because a lot of people have been waiting months and months for a new Mazda. But now you can take your pick, and they're great cars. Mawson Lakes Mazda, they've got the full range to choose from. There's the CX-30, CX-5, CX-8, CX-9 and the BT50, all available right now. Plus, new stock means you'll also find heaps of current demos are priced to clear. They won't last long, so don't delay.
Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner with great deals on new Mazdas and run-out prices on demo stock. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Wednesday's a special day at Wallace Cinemas. It's Seniors Day with free morning tea or coffee before your movie. It's your choice of movies from Bobby's classics like The Great Escape and An American in Paris. It's new release movies like Where the Crawdads Sing, Good Luck to You, Leo Grand and Phantom of the Open. It's homemade chocolate log tops with Golden North ice cream and freshly popped popcorn. Wednesday is Seniors Day at Wallace Cinemas. Visit wallace.com.au or download the app for session times.
Hi, Shayna Blaze here. As a designer, I know how tricky it can be to design the perfect bathroom. So I teamed up with Beaumont Tiles and created complete bathroom packages. Drop into Beaumont's for complete bathroom packages designed by me.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
7 to 9. Big congrats to Samantha in Paradise, who's off to see Frozen. It's leaving next week, but you can still catch it. This magnificent Broadway musical with great seats that are available for under $100. You can book at Ticketek. We have the excellent Smeg kettle to give away. The dish that defines Kilkenny is what we're after this morning. Kay in Woodville has a suggestion. Morning, Kay.
Oh, hi, guys. Time to talk about food. I've got the Vietnamese friends in the Kilkenny area. They make the best pho, the beef, cook the beef bones for, about 8 hours. Fabulous, a meal in itself. But you can't go past the Vietnamese cold rolls. Oh, absolutely. Look, minimum noodles, but you've got to have crushed nuts and, of course, the grated carrots. You can have strips of cucumber. Even cut the snow peas lengthwise. So heaps of stuff, and you've got to have your own satay dipping sauce.
Absolutely. You paint a pretty picture, Kate.
You're going to put Luke Nguyen out of a job with that excellent description of Vietnamese cookery. That was superb.
We'll give away the kettle in just a moment.
Hey, I just did a quick check. There are 3 Ramsay Streets in South Australia, spelt the same as the Ramsay Street of Neighbours fame. I'm holding up the sign here for the benefit of the people on the live stream, RAMSAY. So there's a Ramsay Street in Mount Barker, there's a Ramsay Street in Murray Bridge, and there's a Ramsay Street in Port Vincent. If you are a resident of any of those 3 Ramsay Streets, we'd love to hear from you tomorrow, 8223 0000. Because I wonder, particularly 30 years ago when Neighbours was becoming a juggernaut, was it one of those things like, where do you live, Ramsay Street? It's like, is it Scott? Is it Charlene?
Yeah.
You
would have heard them all.
You would have heard all the
Tell
all the
us
Neighbours gags.
what the gags you've all heard are.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear.
Give us a buzz.
It all ends tonight for you, though. Maybe the end of the gags.
And we'd like a review. We'd like a rusted-on Neighbours tragic. Maybe somebody like Nick, who just texted him before on the Automasters text line, to get on the blower tomorrow. And tell us what you think of the last ever episode of Neighbours.
All right, let's go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed
1395. Adelaide's 5AA. This is Jade Robran.
And welcome along to Afternoons. Great to be with you again. And one of the great mysteries of South Australia has been solved. The Somerton Man has been identified finally. And another great mystery is why I'm not turning the music down, because it really can be hard to hear what I'm saying. And really, it just requires the turning down of one fader, as we call them in the business, fader, here on the desk. But I'm choosing not to, so that is a big mystery. Today, we're going to be talking about lying. Is there a time when it's okay to lie? Have you ever lied? Who have you lied to? Do ants go to nightclubs? And is it a lie to tell your partner that they look good in an outfit when they really don't? Is it a lie when a broadcaster says, "Great to be with you again," when they'd rather not be with you again? Let's talk now to ethicist Dr. Leslie Knoll. Good afternoon, Leslie.
Good afternoon to you, Jade. Lovely to speak to you.
Great to have you on the show. Tell me, is it a lie to say, "Great to have you on the show," when it really isn't?
Yes.
Oh.
We might say something kind because we don't want to say something cruel.
Yes, I understand. Well, it is really great to have you on this afternoon.
I think that's a lie.
Well, it could be, but we really don't know.
I think that's the kind of lie I would disapprove of, because it's purposefully trying to mislead someone.
Yeah, well, I didn't want you to think it wasn't good having you on.
You know what? I don't think I want to answer these questions anymore.
No, that's fair enough. Well, why don't you tell me a lie as we finish up? Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure. Nice to talk to you.
Wowzers, I think that was a whopper.
Who wins the Smeg Kettle?
Oh, look, I reckon we're going to give it to our great friend Tina in Mitchell Park for her evocative celebration of the banh mi. Thanks to everybody who entered. We've had a lot of love for apparently Tarn Long on Hanson Road. That's the go for the best banh mi's in Kilkenny. But good old Tina in Mitchell Park, you are the winner of the Smeg Kettle.
Leon Biner is coming up in just a moment, and we'll be back for Meat Tray Friday tomorrow morning from 6.
Feeling the burn? Save cash with Cheap as Chips Hot Buys.
Cheap as Chips.
Radiant 2-litre liquid or 2 kilo washing powder, a hot buy, $7.99 each. True Blue assorted 2-litre soft drinks, sizzling, only $2. Simple skin